When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the variety pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
That is Gordon Sumner, a.k.a. Sting, and the Police from their massive, and I do...
Keep your wellness routine going strong all summer. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition wherever you are, with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and more. Simplify your daily ritual. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
Massive album back in 1983. It was on this day that said massive album, Synchronicity, went number 1 on the UK albums charts. It was the 4th number 1 album in the UK for the Police. It also went number 1 in the US, and the album Synchronicity featured the singles Every Breath You Take and the one you just heard right there, Wrapped Around Your Finger. On this day in 1983, the Police go number 1. This day is the 25th of June, 2026. Welcome to the program. Speaking of the Police, they kind of patrol our streets, roads, and avenues, right? I think that would be a fair characterization of at least one of the things that police do. Streets, roads, and avenues is your theme this week for All Request Friday. So if you want to hear up to 1 minute of a song that you like featuring a street, a road, or an avenue, by all means, send in your request. We will play as many of them as we can during the show tomorrow. And All Request Friday, like we do every Friday here on the program. Requests via email to me at mike@570news.com, or just let Jen know when you call in today, or give her a call right now. Just say, hey, Jen, here's the song I would like to hear. She'll make a note of it as well, and we'll get as many on the air as we can tomorrow. Just thinking on massive albums like Synchronicity by the Police. We do a weekly segment, in case you didn't know, on Monday mornings at 11 o'clock, taking a look at this week in music history with musicologist Brian Allison. And thinking ahead to Monday, it's going to be our last opportunity for a look back at this week in music history before Canada Day. And Brian's going to join us live in studio, and we will do an all Canada This Week in Music History theme. And Brian's happy to take your questions. We'll talk about our favorite Canadian music, whatever it happens to be, getting us set for the holiday next Wednesday. So just a little heads up on that as we look ahead. But your requests, streets, roads, and avenues for All Request Friday tomorrow. The minute we begin the show every day, our phone lines are open to you at 519-570-2545, star 570, and 1-800-570-5715. We are the most interactive radio program you will find anywhere in this region. Let's get right to the phones because JB is with us early this morning. Hey, JB.
Hey, good morning, Farwell.
What's up, buddy?
Well, I was thinking, I saw the post or heard whatever about you potentially cheering for that team you don't like next year.
Yes, that's a thing.
If the dollar value reaches the threshold, I'm sitting here going, that just doesn't sound like a lot of effort, given that the team you actually cheer for, you've become less and less enthused by. So I don't know how much of a stretch that is there, Mikey.
Well, listen, I'll tell you this, JB. It's 55 years that I'm giving up. I'm not even worried about it because I think that fans of the team that shall not be named, they just like to talk. Like they flap their gums like nobody's business. So I'm really not concerned about having to give up my fandom. But you're right. I was very disenfranchised with the franchise last year. I'm excited, though. Darren Radish, right? We're starting to build from the net out. This goaltender we had that just won a Calder Cup, this Russian kid. I mean, I like him. So I'm pretty next year's our year, JB.
Well, but I mean, hopefully you'll be too busy doing the other team. So.
All right, pal. Thanks.
Not going to matter. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers to you too. I listen. You can make light of it all you want. Just remember, deep down, I really do truly. And I know my friend Neil Aitchison tells me, and I used it on the air yesterday, the word hate. I'm sorry, but I hate that team. It's not about the players. I'm sure they're lovely people. I love the city of Montreal. In fact, I actually do. I really do. I think it's a fantastic city. That franchise and what it meant to my favorite team over all the years, the rivalry. I hate the team that shall not be named. I truly do. But I'm a man of my word. And if you don't know what JB is referring to, the Farwell for Hire 50-50 jackpot is up $4,000 from yesterday. So I see what you're doing here. You're trying to make me sweat this out. That's fine. The jackpot right now just under $117,000. Take home prize about $58,500. If the jackpot reaches $200,000, I cheer next season for the team that shall not be named. All you gum flappers, go. I'll join you. I'll join your bandwagon. If the jackpot reaches $250,000, which is just a little above what we got to last year, I'm a competitive guy. I want to see us do as well, if not better, for cystic fibrosis. If the jackpot reaches $250,000, I wear the jersey of the team that shall not be named while parading with our friends at KW Oktoberfest during the Thanksgiving Day parade in October. Only if the jackpot gets high enough. That's where we're at right now. Back to the phones. Preston Paul, Farwell's Force member number 45. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Mike. It's been a heck of a week around here. Holy Mackinac.
What's going on?
I'm talking about you, not me. I can't keep track of all the things that are going on here. Wearing this, marching that. You're in a heap of trouble, buddy.
Again, those fans, they have to put their money where their big fat mouths are. We'll see if they can do it.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, though. That'll be funny for the Leafs to be the name that shall not be heard.
It could be for a whole season.
That would be funny, that's for sure. But I wanted to request a song for tomorrow if you can still get one in there.
All right, let's see what you got.
How about Main Street by Bob Seger?
Main Street, that's a fantastic one. I'm making a note right now for you, Preston Paul.
Thanks, buddy. You have a great day. Looking forward for more laughs.
Thanks, buddy. My good friend Preston Paul, love to hear from you, and we'll mark down Main Street, Seeger, for our Streets, Roads, and Avenues request show tomorrow. Glenn, you're on 570 News Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you, sir?
Very good, thank you. And yourself?
I'm well, thank you. I have been tardy. I haven't made a donation to your fund yet. I'll do it when I get home. However, I would prefer if you didn't wear our jersey and bring us bad luck as a Leafs fan. Being a little catty this morning.
I understand. Listen, Glenn, I appreciate your support. Tickets for the Farwell for Hire 50-50 raffle. And yes, it is a donation because that's how 50-50s work, right? Half the money will go to cystic fibrosis research. But you're getting a hell of an opportunity here, right? The take-home prize almost $60,000 right now, and we know it's just going to keep going up. So, but I appreciate it. And so you can get those tickets like Glenn will at cf5050.ca. I understand the sentiment that you don't want Leafs fans on your bandwagon if you are a fan of the team that shall not be named. I promise you I will do this in good spirit, because you have been, it's the reason I offered the opportunity. I know I lay it on thick, and I deliberately lay it on thick when it comes to my Leafs. But anyway, cf5050.ca. And just to tie a bow on this, I would love to have you join me or stay with me until 11 this morning, because we're going to have the president and CEO of Cystic Fibrosis Canada on the show with us to talk about the cystic fibrosis story in Canada. So I know I've droned on and on for a long time. I mean, it's a whole month of Farwell for Hire, and it's fundraise this and it's Farwell that, and I get it might be a little bit exhausting, but we'll give you a good sense at 11 this morning when Kelly Grover joins us about what this really is all about and what you're supporting, because it's not only important to me in my heart of hearts, but it really does matter to families in this community. It really does. So we're coming together for them. Take me out of the equation, and we'll give you a sense of that on the show this morning at 11. So if you have to check out for a bit, try to check back in then, or stick around, because as Preston Paul said, we're looking forward to having some fun today. Doug is next on the phone lines this morning. Good morning, Douglas.
Good morning, Mike. I had to hark back to your first comment in the opening song. It's amazing how songs pull your ear and back to old memories, especially that album in 1983. Because in 1983, I was sports editor of Prairie Sound North Star, and there was a building up there called the Sub Base, and they had the absolute best sausage on a bun. And I never forget that song would be playing.
Really? Wrapped Around Your Finger was playing when you got sausage on a bun from, what was it called?
The Sub Base. The
Sub Base up in Parry Sound.
A little hole in the wall business, but man, their food was fantastic, and they always had really good music playing.
I love it.
And Sting was a favorite of these guys. So anyway, I'm going to miss 11 o'clock. I hope I can catch up on this somewhere after hours, because I really do want to hear the interview. I know how much, just like you take yourself out of the equation. You give so much to yourself, Mike. Really glad I'm buying more tickets today, so let's get that jackpot up there, people.
All right. Boy, Doug, I appreciate that. And a good reason, by the way. You know, I was teasing Glenn as a fan of the team that shall not be named, and he doesn't want me as a Leafs fan on his team's bandwagon if this jackpot gets higher, but he is still going to donate. And I said, listen, it's not just a donation, it's also a chance to win big money. If you get your tickets before tomorrow at noon, a $2,500 cash prize from TLC Pet Food. Don't forget that part too. That's right into your pocket, and you could win that from TLC Pet Food, $2,500 tomorrow, and you're still in for the overall jackpot. So there's more incentive. I made a note of where we started the jackpot today. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we went up $4,000 yesterday alone. Let's see how much we go up today, because you can buy now. It's still early-ish. The grand prize jackpot next Tuesday. But if you're in before tomorrow at noon, you're also eligible for that $2,500 cash prize from TLC Pet Food. So there you have it. Not a bad way to give yourself a chance at some cold, hard cash. Take one more on the phones before we get to your Farwell Show 5. Joanne is with us, Farwell's Force, member number 270. And a first-time caller, Joanne?
Yes, I am.
Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Mike, I grew up in the city with the team that shall not be named.
I'm sorry about that. No, it's a nice city. It's a nice city.
Yes, beautiful city.
Yes.
But my father-in-law used to say not to use the word hate. You dislike somebody. You never hate somebody except for the Maple Leafs.
So are you telling me, Joanne, that it's okay if I use it when I say about that hockey team?
Sure it is.
Okay. Thank you for that.
It's okay.
All right.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do, Mike.
It is an absolute pleasure. Thanks for listening to the show.
To you.
I appreciate that. Okay, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. See, now, Neil Aitchison, you know I love you. You know I do. I respect you, and I always try to not use that word. But Joanne's got it on good authority. When it comes to the arch-rival hockey team, it's okay if we sneak that word in. Just in those instances, okay? Because in my heart of hearts, I don't hate anybody either. But that team? Do I strongly dislike that team.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
All right, let's get to your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning, the 25th of June. Number one, our regional government will spend millions to assume control of a better tent city. This months after the volunteer board dissolved because it simply could not manage the tiny home encampment any longer. It was a 3-hour discussion at council yesterday, and Regional Councillor Joe Gowing joins us at 9:30 this morning to talk about it. So just about 20 minutes from now after the 9:30 news. Number two, a massive affordable housing project in Waterloo is now underway. The project on University Avenue East near Rim Park is set to become its own community, but it started this week with building number one, called Union Community Housing at Country Squire. That building will provide 85 affordable rental homes on the 25-acre University Avenue East property donated by the University of Waterloo, or pardon me, by the City of Waterloo. This is, again, the massive housing project we're talking about here is the Build Now project. It pledged 10,000 homes by 2031. We ain't going to get there, but this particular parcel of land donated by the City of Waterloo is supposed to be home to 1,000 affordable homes. It's its own community. It is its own community, and this is the first step. So a long way from the 10,000 homes that were pledged by 2031, but you got to start somewhere, and this is a pretty significant deal. Ground was broken on that project yesterday. Number three on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, rescue teams are rushing to the hardest hit areas of Venezuela to free people trapped under rubble following 2 powerful earthquakes. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez says at least 164 people have died and 971 were injured in last night's 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes. Number 4, an economist says that as Canada gains clarity on key economic issues, it should rebound toward the end of this year. Weighing in on their summer outlook, Deloitte Canada chief economist Don Desjardins believes the country will see businesses' investment accelerate and job creation coming. And number 5 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, South Africa is Canada's surprise opponent in a World Cup knockout stage match on Sunday in Los Angeles. The South Africans upset South Korea yesterday, 1-0, as they would say in footy, to finish second in Group A behind Mexico, while Canada ranked second in Group B behind Switzerland.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Thursday morning. I have to chuckle. If you are watching on Rogers TV Cable 20, I have a monitor in my studio that gives me a sense of what is being broadcast out on the TV. And our camera, the main camera that is supposed to be trained on me. And listen, I don't blame the camera if it wants to stop shooting this face for radio. At any time, it has the option of doing that. But the camera is funny, you see, because it's not operated by a human being anymore. It's operated by artificial intelligence, and it's supposed to point at the microphone that is turned on, which currently is mine. But sometimes the camera gets a mind of its own, and I just kind of watched it out of the corner of my eye on the monitor here in the studio move along, and slowly it's not on me anymore, and then it's in the corner on the chair where I keep my bag, and it keeps going around, and then you could see the door to the studio with a window out into the hallway. All the time I'm talking, and the camera is just spinning aimlessly around the studio. If you ever wonder why, it's because we've put the robots in charge of some things, and ding dang those robots. I got no time for the robots, okay? Artificial intelligence is artificial as far as I'm concerned. I like the supercomputer that we have between our own ears, and I miss the human beings who used to manage those cameras. I really do. But I digress somewhat. On the World Cup note, I just wanted to send a thank you this morning to our friends at the Research and Tech Park at University of Waterloo. fourth year, fifth year, I'm sorry I lose track because you are so generous and you have been for so long. But they do a nice little beer garden food truck outing on afternoons in the warmer weather months for employees in this research and tech park. It's a nice place to just, play a little afternoon hooky, leave work a little bit early, socialize with people. Great idea, right? And they have added over these past many years at the Research and Tech Park a charitable component to this. And our Farwell for Hire fundraiser in support of cystic fibrosis research has been the beneficiary. And yesterday, it couldn't have worked out any better with the World Cup game. So they brought out a big tent to make it as dark as possible, hooked up a big screen. We all got to watch Canada-Switzerland yesterday. Not the outcome we were looking for, but a whole lot of fun to watch the soccer match with a group of people that were fully invested in it. And we had a great time. And Malul Blamey stepped up as a food sponsor. So all we had to do to get our food from the Faux Cheesy food truck was make a donation. Then we got a ticket to go get our sandwich for free because Malul Blamey stepped up and covered the cost of that food truck yesterday. So a lot of partners came together to help us raise money for cystic fibrosis research. Thank you to the Research and Tech Park. Thank you to the Cora Group and Malul Blamey for stepping up as sponsors to help us raise even more money yesterday. We are getting closer and closer to our goal, which is a cure for cystic fibrosis. All right, a quick timeout. When we come back, it is your Thursday morning wake-up call. And do you remember this guy from a recent regional council meeting?
If this was 300 years ago, we'd have pitchforks and torches, and I know you know that. What you've done, consider your legacy's cooked. It's done.
Okay.
It's over.
We call him pitchforks and torches guy. And somebody at the regional council meeting yesterday said, hey, pitchforks and torches guy, hold my beer. You'll hear what I mean coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. As I'm sure you know, things have been getting a little tense at regional headquarters of late. Last week, in an unacceptable demonstration, protesters breached the barrier from the gallery of regional council chambers into the horseshoe where councillors sat. They left immediately, but that was an act of intimidation, make no mistake about it. And it's all part of increasingly heated rhetoric. In a meeting not long before, I think it was the day before, the demonstrators breached that barrier and intimidated councillors around the horseshoe. We had a gentleman who represented himself as an executive with the Southwest Ontario NDP saying this at regional council.
If this was 300 years ago, we'd have pitchforks and torches, and I know you know that.
Pitchforks and torches guy, not to be outdone. A delegate by the name of Acer Bonaparte brought this to regional council during a presentation yesterday.
Why do we keep doing the same thing? Why do we keep making the same mistakes? Why do we keep the Sisyphean hell that we're in? The Working Center has failed at running managed encampments. They failed at 1001 Herbs. It's a concentration camp.
It's a concentration camp, the managed encampment at Herbs Road, not far from here at Ira Needles. And that language and the invoking of concentration camps did not sit well at all with regional councillor Dorothy McCabe.
I would just ask people to please monitor their language. I found the reference to concentration camps extremely disturbing. That is not what is happening.
Acer, you have been excused. You may sit down.
Yeah.
Acer, you may sit down. This is a comment
for you.
From a councillor.
It is not a question for you. It's a comment to, I guess, the chair. My husband's family members endured and suffered through concentration camps, as did millions of other people. And so
I would ask the gallery to please be quiet. A councillor has the floor.
This is not appropriate language to use in any way, shape, or form as part of this discussion or any discussion.
Just a little bit from what happened yesterday at Regional Council. I've been to a lot of council meetings as a reporter covering these in my life, in many communities, not just this one. And I have never even heard outbursts or kind of back and forth like that between gallery and council, like we just heard. We are crossing, we're breaking new ground here when it comes to decorum. And I feel like I'm screaming into the wind when it comes to civility and the lack thereof that is on display far too often from where I'm sitting. We've got to check this. And if we don't check it soon, then the new ground that we're breaking will become lines crossed and we'll never see the line again. There was work to be done at Regional Council yesterday, a 3-hour meeting that ended 3+ hours with Regional Council deciding it would assume control of a better tent city. But it's not exactly a blank check, and we'll tell you why in the conversation coming up next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
This is where today's topics turn into today's talking points. It's local and it's Democratic radio at its finest. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio.
Do the math, it's about $150,000 a resident per year. And when we have seniors and other hardworking individuals that go to work each day and have struggled to pay their rent of $2,000 a month, they have a difficult time swallowing the cost.
I'm really struggling with this. I feel like we're backed in a corner, like we are just spending so much money over and over and over again. It's almost like something happens in community, come to the rich uncle or the rich aunt, and it's a lot.
I would not be able to support the use of these funds that really we don't have and our property tax base doesn't have.
There's a big price tag attached to this initiative. However, I don't think we can afford not to do it.
I do not want this to become an open-ended commitment without clear outcomes, accountability, and a plan to move people into more permanent and stable housing.
The Mike Farwell Show continues
on 570 News Radio.
That is a wee snapshot of some of the commentary around the Regional Council horseshoe yesterday when Council discussed a staff report that recommended the region of Waterloo, our regional government, take over operations at a better tent city. As we know, the volunteer board dissolved some months ago, saying they could no longer sustain the work that they were doing. And when all the dust settled yesterday, the region did approve multiple streams of funding totaling a little more than $8 million. But I might say that comes with some conditions. And those conditions were placed upon the funding by Regional Councillor Joe Gowing, who brought forward an amendment to the motion Council was discussing. And Councillor Gowing makes time for our show this morning. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing all right, thanks. How are you?
Good.
I mean, no, real easy issues. It's great being a regional councillor these days, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's start with the amendment itself, and it's always better if I get you to explain what you intended to do with it. What was the idea? What is accomplished by the amendment you brought forward yesterday?
Yeah, so the amendment basically outlines that it's going to be a transitional phase. So I don't agree that housing is a long-term shelter system is a long-term obligation for us. It needs to be a transition. We need to look at more stabilization. And that's why when this came forward as a transition and stabilization plan, I thought to myself, okay, but what are the checks and balances? And from what I saw, and staff do a great job at presenting what we need to do, but it's our job to make sure that dollars and cents are spent appropriately. And that's why I brought in the changes yesterday to the motion, that we watch over that. We make sure that this is a transitional period. And like one of the residents yesterday said, she's been there for 5 years. To me, that's not transitional. So if we're going to take this over, there needs to be checks and balances. And that's why I brought forward that motion yesterday.
Why did you think a motion like this was important?
Because we're the only, as you and I have talked about in the past, we're the only province that doesn't have the province overseeing our housing and homelessness. Every other province in this country has it. So it's a municipal issue now. that the province has mandated to us. So here we are with looking on the backs of taxpayers within the region of Waterloo. We need to make sure that we are spending those dollars and cents appropriately, and that's why I brought this forward.
So moving forward, Joe, into, let's say, the next budget cycle, because I do like where you're going with this, ensuring that what we are working on here is something that is truly transitional and not just an unending pot of money that continues to be funded to something that you expect to be transitional. Do we know what that looks like then? Will this be reviewed annually, and at any time, in next year's budget cycle, this funding could be removed? Like, what does it mean?
Like staff said yesterday, that all projects that Commissioner Sweeney and his team look at is on an annual basis. So what I brought in yesterday, just make sure that it's in writing, and then the taxpayers of the region can breathe a sigh of relief that we are going to be monitoring this as we go through. Because like I said, we cannot continue to write blank checks. We cannot continue to support a system that has no transition to the next step. And that brings me to my next point is we need that next step. We are short on the next step, and I know that staff are working diligently to find ways to get us to that next supportive housing to transition people on. Yesterday we heard that the Herb Street community has a 25% success rate. I'd like to see that success rate grow. And I would like all of the information, and that's why I put in there that I want a number of the residents transitioning into permanent at another Better Tent City, because we need to make sure that what we're doing is actually working. Because if we're just going to continue to throw money at a problem that really isn't cost effective, we're just spinning our wheels.
Just to be clear on that success rate you're talking about, the 25% at the Herbs Road managed encampment, that's 25% of the people who show up there eventually transition into stable housing?
Correct.
Okay. On the point of writing the blank check, Joe, and being accountable for this money, again, I like where you're going with this. I'm glad the amendment was adopted. I've been curious about this in the bigger picture, because I know here we've got $5 million plus coming out of reserves, et cetera. As I outlined, it's about $8 million through these various streams in the now, and we're going to be monitoring this. The $65 million figure that we keep hearing about that the region is spending on the plan to end chronic homelessness this year, how much visibility is there on that? Where is that money, and how on earth could we possibly need more?
So that's a really great question, because that's one of the things that I'm going to be diving into in the next little while after this situation happened. I want to make sure that where our money is being spent is spent appropriately. And Mike, I've always said that I'm very penny pinching or nickel pinching, I guess, at this point when it comes to even the taxpayer dollars, because I want to make sure that what we're spending is in the right places. And again, our staff do a great job with that, but I think the public needs to know. And I know that staff are going to be bringing forward some reports on where we stand with this, because after yesterday's conversation, they understand the need and the want from the public to know what are we doing and where are we going.
In terms of the delegates we heard from yesterday, Joe, and you made reference to the Herbs Street or Herbs Road managed encampment with that 25% success rate, but the Herbs Road encampment, which is managed by the Working Centre, is not looked upon incredibly favorably because of the rules that exist for living there, including visitors, etc. How do you respond to those who told you yesterday that they don't like the direction the region is moving here?
Well, we had two options. We could take it over, or we could let it fold. and then all of the people that are residents there would be dispersed to the community, and we would have to deal with them one way or another. We chose this way to go because we do see a success rate at the Herb Street managed encampment. The 25% that I talked about, to me, is a good start. I want to say that it's a good start to transition people to stabilized housing. As far as what the delegates yesterday, I hear them, and we just have to make sure. And that's why another reason I brought this over, because I want to know site safety. I want to know infrastructure and regulatory compliance updates. We want to have that information to make sure that all the concerns that were brought forward yesterday are being handled appropriately by staff. And I have full confidence in our staff that they will make sure that those happen.
I just want to go back to one more thing you said earlier before I let you go today, and that was the reminder, and it's so important, I think, that Ontario is the only province, the only jurisdiction in our entire country, territories included, that downloads the cost of social housing onto the municipality. And we keep having this conversation, Joe. Is there any hope? Is there any movement? Are we going to get support from our provincial partners?
Well, I've been talking with our local representatives, our local MPPs, and they know my stance. I have pushed this forward. There needs to be more. I know that the province comes out and says we're giving them $17 million to the region of Waterloo for homelessness and housing. But if you look at our total budget line, it's $250 million that we're spending every year. $17 million is a drop in the bucket, and that's on the backs of local taxpayers. And honestly, the province isn't doing enough. So I'm going to continue to advocate to them, continue to push to them that they need to do more. And there's the argument that tax dollars is tax dollars. It comes from the same people. But property taxes themselves were not made to pay for housing and all the social services that we're being told that we need to provide, when really it should be coming from the province.
I appreciate you watching those nickels, Joe. I think it was a great amendment brought forward yesterday, and we'll be keeping our eyes on this, as I know you will. Thanks for making time for the show this morning.
Thanks, Mike. Anytime.
Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Joe Gowing is a regional councillor who represents Kitchener. Essentially, the amendment that Joe brought forward and that was adopted by regional council yesterday puts some guardrails around this new money that the region is going to invest in its plan to end chronic homelessness. I understand the point brought forward by regional councillor Jim Erb, who said we can't afford not to do this. I get it. And Joe points out quite clearly there were two options here. We either step in and support this tiny home community, or it folds, and then what happens to the 50-odd people who have been surviving there? So, yes, the region moves forward with this. No, it's not a blank check. I'll say this much, and I would love to hear from you on this, because the point that was made by regional councillor Michael Harris yesterday, I have heard from many people. We're looking at, if you break down the numbers, anywhere between $130,000 and $150,000 being spent per individual at this tiny home encampment. That is a whole lot of money. And I suspect a good deal of it is the operational cost, because you're going to have an organization there in the working center staffing it, and you have to pay those folks, and then there are all of the other things associated. But that is, like, you know, you could say, and I know it's not exactly apples and apples here, but why don't you just hand somebody $130,000 and they're going to be in a pretty good place for a little while, aren't they? But I know it's not that simple. The equation, though, when you break it down and you do the math, it does sound almost exorbitant at anywhere from $130,000 to $150,000 per person per hut in that tiny home encampment. That is a whole lot of money. What I will add to that, though, is, and this touches on something else I brought up with Joe, we keep hearing about this money, $65 million this year alone that our regional government is spending on the plan to end chronic homelessness. And do you know what I want? I want to know where that money is. As Cuba Gooding Jr. would have said in that movie, what was it, Tom? Anyway, show me the money, Jerry Maguire. Show me the money. Where is the money? I would say that this $8 million approved yesterday, I'm like, good, because I can see the tiny home community that it's supporting. Where are the other places of shelter that have been created, built, or otherwise with $65 million just this year? Where in HE double hockey sticks is that money? I really want to know. That's where, so I will say, what I like about this decision is that I can see it. I can see where this $8 million is going. I can see the tiny home community on Ardelt Avenue. I can see the people that it supports. I really want to know where that other $65 million is going and why this has to be over and above it. But at least I can see this money. And it's putting people into a cabin. That's my high-level take of this. What's yours? Phone lines are open to hear from you on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
We need to look at more stabilization. And that's why when this came forward as a transition and stabilization plan, I thought to myself, okay, but what are the checks and balances? And from what I saw, and staff do a great job at presenting what we need to do, but it's our job to make sure that dollars and cents are spent appropriately. And that's why I brought in the changes yesterday to the motion that we watch over that.
Regional Councillor Joe Gowing joining us this morning to talk about the region's decision to assume control of operations at a Better Tent City. About $8 million in the year ahead. Council will get regular updates to monitor where that money is going and how successful the project is. Let's go to the phones and hear from you on this new investment by the region. Jerry is with us. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. I was just listening to you. I listened to many years, but I was going to give you some little information. I bought my house in '56. I'm still there, and the deal was the mortgage was always paid the same at the bank. It was run by the government. I don't know what they called it. But I've paid, and the mortgage was good for 25 years. It never changed.
Well, I hear where you're coming from, Jerry, and I remember some of those older programs. Just a reminder, please turn your radio or TV down in the background when you call in. I'm trying to figure out, though, how we feel about the region's investment in this tiny home encampment. Rob Deutschman might know a thing or two about that. He was on council and was part of this plan to end chronic homelessness. Morning, Rob.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, I just wanted to just mention 2 years ago, the region, after having invested in the 50 cabins in North Waterloo, had $6 million set aside to build 50 more cabins somewhere else in the region, but we couldn't find the land. So it was always the region's intention to establish a second 50 cabin site. And I think this move to Better Tent City is replacing that, because we couldn't find a land to build the 50 cabins, so the money went back into the budget. But there was always the intention to do that. And I think it's a good move by the region to step in and do what it takes to fix this up and use this facility, because finding land is the most difficult part of this process.
And it was brought up yesterday at the meeting and emphasized, and we should hear then too, the public school board in the city of Kitchener deserves some credit on making sure this land is there.
Yeah. And look where the land is located, right? So, but the other thing too is, which I don't think it's mentioned enough, is, the Working Center built that new facility on Victoria Street. I think it's 97 Victoria Street. And that facility has, I believe it stood empty all this time because they haven't been able to receive operating funds. And I think this is another situation where the provincial or federal government, they'll provide you with some money for building. There's no funding for operations. And now the region, I think part of this plan going forward is going to include coverage for some operating to open that up. So
open up 97 Vic?
Yeah, I think there's something in that as well, and that should be just double check that. But that's my understanding in speaking to some people about this situation. So 97 Vic, it's brand new, just opened. It's 40 something units or what have you. And there's a fence. I understand the last time I drove around there was a fence across the entrance. So it's like it's sitting there waiting to be used, and there were no operating funds. So again, the regions had to step in. So when when we talk about the $65 million, a lot of it is rental supports. Motels, other places where people are being supported in their rents, because rental support is probably one of the biggest components of support that goes out there for the homeless. So that's where, when you say I don't see where this money is, a lot of it's going towards that too.
All right. Appreciate the insight on that, Rob. Thank you.
All the best.
You too. Our good friend Rob Deutschman, former regional councillor and good friend of the show. Just on the point, I'm glad Rob brought it up, so that working center facility across from the encampment at Weber in Victoria does remain closed. This is to the best of my knowledge as well, and it's because the province won't step up with the operational funding. So I'm going to put you on blast again, Jess Dixon. I'm going to put you on blast again, Brian Riddell. I'm going to put you on blast again, Representative for Kitchener-Conestoga. You're all members of the sitting government provincially. Do something about this. This is your community too. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is the kind of story that just sends shivers down one's spine. On a similar but much less tragic note, I ran into a fella at our Farwell for Hire event yesterday at the Research and Tech Park at the University of Waterloo. We were just chatting. He was a little frustrated because somebody had done some significant enough damage to his vehicle in a parking lot and didn't even have the courtesy to leave a note. Again, similar. And this is how frustrated he gets because of that, the damage to the vehicle and the fact that whomever did it didn't leave a note and decided to just leave with whatever damage had happened to their own vehicle, but they don't want to take any responsibility or accountability for this. Again, similar but far less tragic than this particular story. Another hit and run, but this time not to another vehicle, but to an individual. And the individual injured here, a 26-year-old man from Cambridge, suffered life-threatening injuries. So this is a very serious case. And unfortunately, this happened in Fergus earlier this month. And the driver involved in this hit and run is yet to be found. So just imagine the impact on that family from right here in our community in Cambridge and what they are going through, not only dealing with what their son is now living with and fighting for, but not getting the answers that they, quite frankly, I will say, deserve in this case. Manuel Singh is the father of Irving Singh, who was injured in that hit and run in Fergus earlier this month and joins our show. Manuel, good morning.
Hello, Mike. Thank you for having me today. My family really appreciates this opportunity, and I thank you a million times for this time that you're offering to us to express our feelings.
It is a pleasure, and I'm grateful to you for wanting to share this story because it's important. I know it can't be easy, and could you take us back, Manuel, maybe to near the beginning of this month when this crash happened, this hit and run occurred, and how you learned about it and what that was like?
If you can maybe give me the chance and opportunity to say about Irving, and then I will continue with that answer. Irving is a parole officer in the city of Brantford. He is caring young man with a bright future ahead of him. He's been loved by his family and friends. And sadly, that night of May 30th, we were brought thinking that we were going to have a little bit of vacation, and we received a Facebook message saying that Irving was in an ambulance. And we panicked. We thought it was a vehicle accident, and it wasn't. Irving was walking after the Meadow Festival. He was watching the Arkells, the group, the Arkells. And he decided to beat the traffic and walk towards his car. And a witness that we spoke to said that there was a pickup truck going in and out the lane, and he was hit. And he just saw Irving flying in the air and landing in the ground. And he said, Mr. Singh, if I didn't see Irving, he would have fallen into that ditch, and nobody would have found him until next day, and maybe lifeless. And that's what we went through on that May 30th evening.
What have you been able to learn from OPP who are investigating this case so far? Respecting Irving wishes, we are very particular about giving a lot of information out there right now because the investigation is opened and the OPP wants us to be very discreet about what we are giving the public to know. All we know is that there was a dark pickup truck that evening. And there were a few places that they have footage, but they don't want us to divulge that much information because of the investigation. And they said to be, considerate about what we're saying to the media. But right now, the investigation is open. We are hoping that this person is going to be found. Obviously, the Arkells, you mentioned the band that Irving was watching and enjoying at this music festival, the Meadows Music Festival in Fergus about a month ago. It's a well-known band. This would have been a well-attended festival. How can we, Manuel, help you and your family?
So we are asking anyone who was in Fergus that night to think back. Did you see a pickup truck? Do you have a dash cam footage? Did someone mention damage to a vehicle afterward? Even the smallest detail could help the OPP. Anything that you might believe that you may have or not shared with the OPP or the Crime Stoppers, or it can be anonymous. You don't have to divulge your name. You just have to say, this is what I saw. And we strongly believe that someone knows something, but at this point, they haven't come forward yet. So that's where we're standing by right now, on waiting and see if something is going to happen.
And how is Irving doing today?
Irving is recuperating. He is thinking about his future. And the first thing he's thinking of is his clients. As a parole officer, he's dedicated. He's very meticulous about giving people the benefit of the doubt, giving people opportunities. He spent with me a couple of days ago driving to Hamilton to see the surgeon, and he was asking to see if he could go back to work eventually and continue his future. He likes to go to the gym and have friends, and he has an amazing amount of friends, and he wants to go back to that life. And I keep telling him, take it easy, relax. It's time for recuperation. He had a number of injuries that they have to work on, but we'll see. But he's trying. He's trying to go back to his old self, and it's not time yet. He needs to have patience, and I feel that he feels guilty about the negligence of someone that didn't care, someone that hit him on the road and left, and that person didn't care about anybody else but themselves. And Irving feels guilty about it, and I don't want him to feel guilty. And I just don't know how to explain it, but unless you are in his shoes, then you will be able to feel what he's feeling at this time.
What has this last month been like for your family, Manuel?
As a parent, it's one of the hardest things you can imagine. You never expect to get a call that your child has been seriously injured. Our family has been focused on supporting Irving, but at the same time, we're living with unanswered questions about who did this and why they left the scene. And there's me, people call me Manny, by the way, and there's Manny going to the parking lots and looking at pickup trucks and see people that are passing by on the road. They don't care about who is driving where, and then you catch up with them at the next light and you see them carelessly driving through the road. And this society has changed. There's no compassion. There's always the feel of I'm first. I have to get there first. I don't care who you are. And I will get there first, and I need to pass by you, and I will give you the finger, and I will insult you through my windshield, and because I want to be first. And there's no patience and no compassion. I haven't felt the compassion from people for a long, long time. And this careless driver that hit my son is a living proof of this unfortunate incident. And we don't know if the person was intoxicated or was being influenced by something. We don't know. We are not accusing anybody. But it is concerning. It is concerning, and it's been difficult for us to assimilate the situation at home. I see my son struggling and wanting to go back to life, and it's not fair. It's not fair for anybody. And I'm concerned about the other families out there because we don't know if this person is going to do it again. Right? And it's concerning for all of us to see that the justice might not be, there for us.
Obviously, closure is what the family really needs here, Manny. And we as a community can help if we were in Fergus for that music festival, if we saw the Arkell show, if anybody listening knows of a pickup truck that may have some damage to it from the collision, obviously, that's really what would be the biggest thing for you, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Somebody that I just don't know how to explain this, but we as a family, we are very compassionate. We give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they didn't see Irving walking on that grass on that day near the road, and just face the truth. Come forward, be honest, and assume the consequences of this mistake. And so the person can have peace, and so are we. Right? And life will continue, and we learn from our mistakes and our experiences in life. And I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm just looking for answers. I'm just looking to have a closure in my life, in our life, the life of my family and my friends. And that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for an answer. And it would be nice if people will come forward and say, we are going to give you closure because we need to have peace in our hearts. That's all I'm looking for.
Manny, I really appreciate you sharing the story. Our very best to Irving and the rest of the family. Thank you very much for joining the show today.
Thank you, Mike, for this opportunity again. And I believe that someone will have an answer for us in the near future. Thank you again.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Manuel Singh, or Manny, as he says he is called, father of 26-year-old Irving Singh, injured seriously in a hit and run after the Meadows Music Festival in Fergus back on May the 30th. The Arkells played there. Maybe you were at the show. Maybe you're in the Wellington County area, Dufferin, not far from Wellington County, obviously, and you know someone whose pickup truck was mysteriously damaged. They're not looking for sympathy, the Singh family. They're just looking for answers. And it would be my hope that we answer that belief of Manny's, that those answers can and will come from the community. Remember, as Manny points out, you can send that tip in anonymously through Crime Stoppers. But some closure would mean an awful lot to the Singh family. We'll take a quick time out. When we come back, ripped directly from the pages of the Facebook, your reminder, and what better time of this show to remind you of it. Not everyone is a jackwagon. Your story coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is Thursday, and remember, every Thursday morning following our 10:30 news update, so just over 10 minutes from now, Living Retired on the Radio. Did you ever do anything dumb in high school? Wait a minute, let me rephrase that. How many dumb things did you do in high school? Because boy, oh boy, I've got a laundry list. Living Retired on the Radio, just a little over 10 minutes from now. Plus, before 11, a brand new and important countdown that I'm bringing to this show. I should have started it sooner, but you know what they say, better late than never, right? So that countdown is coming up before 11 as well. It is 10:22.
Not everyone's a jackwagon. Not every heart is cold. Not every promise made to you is gonna turn to gold then fold. Some people mean it when they say they care. Some folks will show up, actually be there. So don't close the door on every soul you meet. Not everyone's a jackwagon on this street.
I will admit this is something I had to learn, but now that I've learned it and I am disciplined enough to continue following the lessons, I quite enjoy social media. I know we talk about the cesspool that it is. I used to engage in the arguments and the back and forth commenting, and that was just dumb. There was no point to that. I enjoy Facebook now because I can just keep up with people that I haven't seen in a long time. Or I can come across great stories like the one I found the other day, and I stole directly from my friend Ben's Facebook page. Ben, by the way, is the brains and the brawn in terms of the effort behind the Blue Monday show that we do each and every January on Rogers TV. And it focuses on our mental health. And Ben is a strong advocate. And he shared this, and it's good for our mental health, I think, on his Facebook page recently. I will read directly. It started with our oldest son, Theo. Like a lot of little kids, he was fascinated by buses. We live on a bus route, and every day the city of Brantford buses pass our house in both directions, sometimes seconds apart, sometimes a couple of minutes. To a toddler, it's basically the jackpot. Double buses all day. It all began at our front window. We'd climb onto the couch and look out at the big wide world together. Birds, dogs, neighbors, and of course, buses. Huge rolling rectangles carrying people to work, covered in ads for local businesses, real estate agents, and city programs. Every time one came by, my wife and I would yell, "Bus!" Instant excitement from the boys. Now Theo has passed the torch to his little brother, Benny. He takes bus enthusiasm to another level. The moment he hears or sees one coming, he's in the front yard with the biggest up and down wave you have ever seen. He reminds me of those little red lucky cats that never stop waving. Once he starts, there's absolutely no stopping him. Here's where the story gets special. This all started with one driver, our friend Matt, who slowed down, honked, and gave a big wave. Then another driver did it. Then another. And now almost every driver on our route waves back. Some slow down, some give an enthusiastic wave that matches Benny's energy, a few even honk. And every single time, Benny lights up like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. So do we. A couple of times when traffic was particularly backed up in front of our house, drivers have even stopped, opened the doors, and taken a moment to chat with us and let the boys peek inside. Those moments might seem small, but they're not. They're the kind of moments kids remember, the kind of moments that make a neighborhood feel like a community. So to all the transit operators who take a second out of their day to wave at an excited little boy standing in a front yard, thank you. You may just be driving your route, but to our kids, you're creating magic. And I think that's a good reminder for all of us. Sometimes the smallest gestures, a wave, a smile, a moment of acknowledgement, end up meaning far more than we realize. My buddy Ben put that on his Facebook page, a shout out to the transit operators in Brantford, and Matt, who got it all started. Funny coincidence. Matt is also an old friend of mine. We used to work together at a radio station here in Kitchener. Matt was known as Roo Dog at that radio station. I was known as Big Mike at that radio station. Don't ask, but if you want to see a picture on our Facebook page today, just look up the Mike Farwell Show on Facebook and you'll see a picture of me in my quote-unquote Big Mike days. It's a memory from the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium, which we will share more of during the Flipside in about an hour. But I thought Ben's story about the bus drivers who are certainly not jackwagons in Brantford was fitting right now. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah. I can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Girl, you just don't realize what you do to me. When you hold me in your arms so tight, you let me know everything's all right. I'm hooked on a feeling.
It is the feeling you can only get with Gary Chaka. Gary Chaka. His name's Gary Chalk. We just add the Chaka because that's what Blue Swede does in that song. The only feeling you can get with Living Retired on the radio. Something we do every Thursday morning here on the show. Living Retired is a humor column written by Gary Chalk. You can find it online, livingretired.press. And here's a suggestion. While you're there, why don't you sign up for the weekly newsletter and have that column delivered directly into your inbox. It's a nice change of pace in the old inbox from the other things like the memos from the boss and the reminders like I've been getting that I have to complete some online something or other before June the 30th. Will I get fired if I don't? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that when I get Gary Chalk's Living Retired humor column, I chuckle and forget about the work that I'm supposed to be doing here. Also, I know you enjoy Gary's appearances here on the show. He would be happy to appear with you and for you personally at your corporate event or your retirement celebration or your service club. Again, just go to livingretired.press and get in touch with Gary right there as we welcome him back to the program for Living Retired on the radio. Good morning, Gary Chalk.
Good morning, Mike with a mic. It's Gary, so please be wary.
I like that. You should come with that warning label. You should have a T-shirt that says, along with your on-trend shirt that gets you so many compliments, you should have a shirt that says, be wary.
Speaking of labels, what's with that label they always have on upholstery things? You can't take the label off the decorator pillow or something. What's
the strangest thing. Another label I don't understand is which end of the toothpaste box to open. Like, what difference does it make? They're so both ends are easily opened, Gary. Anyway.
I'll tell you, we are smart guys. Why are we doing this when we have such interesting thoughts, Mike?
You're absolutely right. All of the world's problems could be solved by Gary Chalk and Mike Farwell.
Hey, you're onto it. Hey, I heard you earlier. high school I was not a good student. I'll admit it. I was the round peg in the square hole, and I was the class clown, and I struggled a lot. I apologize to my teachers, but I actually, the other day, now that I'm living retired, started to think about some of the things I did in high school. And the bottom line is I keep saying, what was I thinking?
So many times I ask myself that question.
You have something that you think back to and think, oh, my gosh?
So many, but the one that stands out most, and my father probably still cringes about this, is when I decided to grow my hair long. Right. And Gary, I did it because truly I was in the school play because I was a theater geek, and it was a period piece, and the men had longer hair. So I was told at the audition in October that by the time we stage this in May, you should have long hair. So I grew it. But the thing is, then I didn't stop, Gary. and there was a time that this bald head had hair long enough that I tied it into a ponytail because I thought it made me look smart. Oh, yeah.
Did you get to the man bun stage?
No. Listen, Gary, the man bun nobody had even conceived of the man bun back in the late 1980s.
Oh, that's true. Well, I went to school previous to that, and there's a handful of these stupid things. What was I thinking? In grade 12, we had grade 13 at that time. In grade 12, I decided I would run for president of Students' Council for the following year. So I had an election team put together, and we organized, it was supposed to be just a simple parade up and down in front of the school one day at lunch hour. Turned into a very rowdy noon-hour parade that involved the police. We had cars honking their horns, cheerleaders shaking their pom-poms. I had a friend who lived in a farm. He drove his tractor with a hay wagon in. We had an extremely loud music system, busy 4-lane stretch of highway in front of roadway in front of the school, and everybody's complaining. And like I say, I didn't know I was supposed to get a parade permit. What was I thinking?
What were you thinking, Gary?
Yeah. And there were 1,400 kids in this school, Mike. And one of the things that we did for lunch, they would all come down to the cafeteria. It was pretty large. So, again, my election team, they thought, let's have a fun way to promote Gary's name, chalk. So what we did, we bought a couple of boxes of chalk, and we broke them into small pieces, and had every student coming into lunch hour on Tuesday received a piece of chalk. Seemed pretty simple. But then, it broke out into an epic, all-out chalk fight in the cafeteria with 1,400 kids.
Oh, my goodness. I thought they might have used the chalk to, mark up the tables or the walls, but the chalk fight, oh, my goodness.
Again, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
And as luck would have it, Mike, I won the election.
And then you're thinking,
the principal thought, oh, my gosh, what a year this is going to be in grade 13.
Yeah, now you're the student council president. What were you thinking, Gary?
Well, here's what I was thinking. I thought, we need to do something for school spirit. So early in September, when everybody was coming back, the council, we decided we would have a pancake breakfast. I'm thinking Elmira can do it for thousands. Surely we can do it for 1,400 kids.
Of course, piece of cake.
Yeah. So we encouraged everybody to come to school and wear your house coat or something. Have some fun. Let's get some spirit. Well, we're all set to go, and the night before the pancake breakfast, I got a call from one of the members in Students' Council and said, Gary, they had just read that milk, which we had to use for our batter, instead you can use ginger ale. A lot less money to buy all the ginger ale instead of milk. The lesson is you should probably test it beforehand. We went out that night and we bought cases and cases of cheap, no-name bottles of ginger ale. And away we went, got up the next morning, 5 o'clock. We got the cafeteria all set up. We've got our hot plates and we've got the production line for all these pancakes. Remember, we said, please arrive anytime from 7 until 8:45 because school starts at 9. Well, 1,400 kids, they're not stupid. They didn't start arriving till about 8:15. We couldn't make pancakes for that many people. By 10 o'clock, we're finishing the last people going through our pancake breakfast. The school day has been disrupted. I'm sweating because it's just not going the way it was supposed to. Went to class, and at about 11 o'clock, I received a message to come down to the principal's office. He said, Gary, come with me. We walked over to the health office. There are kids lined up because they're now having a bad reaction to pancakes made with ginger ale. Oh, my gosh, I'll tell you, now when I always hear about the Elmira Maple Syrup Festival, I go back to this and I think, Gary, what were you thinking?
What were you thinking, Gary?
Oh, just wasn't. Now, here's another one. This is bizarre. In grade 12, do you remember your chemistry class in grade 12? It had a textbook, hardcover. The thing probably weighed 5 pounds. Great big, thick, 5-inch thick book. Do you remember that one?
I think it's cute that you still think I was taking science in grade 11, Gary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got rid of those courses, let me tell you.
Oh, boy. Well, I unfortunately was taking chemistry, and I was, again, bad student, always getting in trouble. What happened this time was I did something wrong in class, and the chemistry teacher, in his wisdom, said, okay, Gary, you stand at the back of the classroom for the rest of the period and hold this heavy chemistry book up in the air over your head.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not sure what the correlation was between whatever I did and what the penalty I received, but it just didn't seem right. So I'm at the back of the chemistry class. Well, of course, nobody in the rest of the class is looking at the teacher at the board. They're looking around at me because this book is heavy. And my arms are shaking, and every time it would start to lower, he'd say, put it back up, Chuck. So he lost control of the chemistry class. I'm standing with this 5-pound book over top of my head of the class. The worst thing possible ever could happen. There was a fire alarm. 1,400 students are told over the PA system to report to the front of the school. Again, it's a large school on a major roadway. So everybody's out of the class except me. I'm standing in the doorway to the chemistry lab arguing with the teacher because he's insisting that I put the book down so I can run out for the fire alarm. And I'm insisting, but the period's not over. I have to hold the book over my head. Made sense to me. Well, eventually he gave up and we walked out. By the time we're walking out, all the hallways are empty because they're all out front. We finally get to the front. There's 1,399 students. I walk out with the chemistry teacher with the book over top of my head, and what do I see? A fire department truck with the fire marshal with a stopwatch trying to determine how long it takes to empty the school during a fire alarm. So, again, two things. What was I thinking? And I need to apologize.
You brought down the average, right? Because you were so slow getting out of that ding-dang school, Gary.
That's right. Not to mention 1,400 kids laughing. Oh, my God. Hey, one more of these what was I thinking things. And this was in grade 10. Now, grade 10, I was in a mixed school, but it was an all-boys class, 40 of us. That's not a good starting point for a class. 40 boys in grade 10. Remember the store Wokel?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And remember they used to have $1.44 day?
Of course, Gary. There was a Woolco Woolworths down the street because we had downtown Kitchener was our high school, and it was an all boys school. And I would go down there to that lunch counter and $1.44 days, all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, one thing at $1.44 day, we discovered that they were selling cheap, hand twisted, cranked up alarm clocks. So we bought 40 of them at $1.44 a piece.
Oh, my goodness.
So here's what happened. One morning, all 40 guys, our lockers are all in the same area, stretched out in one area of the hallway. And those lockers were metal, and you probably remember they had a metal shelf at the top. And we would take all our books and everything off and take this cheap, wind-up $1.44 alarm clock and set it for 10:15 and put it up in the shelf and then lock the locker. 10:15 arrived, when we were in a class at that point across the hall, and all you can hear is 40 lockers locked with an alarm clock ringing. And we looked out, there's the principal, and there's the custodial staff, and they don't know whether to call the police or they're assuming that it's just cheap clocks that are ringing. It's at that point I said, Gary, what are you thinking? Oh, the days that I think back of when I was going to school, and now that I'm living retired, I don't know how I got this far, Mike.
Well, Gary, I think what you were thinking is one day I'm going to be writing a humor column because as much as you look back and the trouble you got into and the apologies you had to issue, like full marks, buddy. That alarm clock prank is a good one.
Oh, I'll tell you, that's just one of many that stood the test of time.
I see what you did there. Oh, Gary, thanks for this. We'll talk again in a week's time.
You bet. Take care, Mike.
You too. Bye-bye. Gary Chalk is the humor columnist behind Living Retired, which you can find online at livingretired.press. And you will hear Gary right here every Thursday morning with Living Retired on the radio just after our 10:30 news. And those are the unique stylings of Gary Chalk. He is more than happy to come out to your service club or your retirement party or whatever other corporate event you might be having and deliver a keynote or bring some humor. You can find Gary where you find the Living Retired humor column online at livingretired.press. Oh, what were we thinking back in those high school days? What was I thinking when I agreed to this challenge? I guess what I was thinking about, unsurprisingly this month, because it is Farwell for Hire month, I was thinking about charity. I was thinking about raising as much money as possible for cystic fibrosis research. And the other night I was reminded of this challenge and I thought, you know what I need is a light at the end of the tunnel. So the countdown I should have created earlier and you did not know you needed debuts right after this. Stay with us on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Welcome to the countdown that you did not know you needed. But believe you me, I need this countdown because I need to see and hear the light at the end of the tunnel. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll hear us getting there with this new countdown that debuts today and will not end for about another 20 days. July the 16th, this countdown will finally end. What is the countdown all about? Why does it matter? I'm glad you asked those questions. The other night, we were celebrating a Farwell for Hire event with our good friend Allison Lopez at Dominion Lending in Waterloo. I was telling the story the other day. Allison has done this along with her partner in this life, Ian Ingalls, and they've done this for a number of years. They organize a little dinner party at the Dominion Lending offices on Herb Street in Waterloo, and the invited guests all bring donations for Farwell for Hire. Chef D caters the event for us, so we get some good eats, we have some good company, and this past Tuesday night, we also came home with almost $5,000 in fundraising. And what did I do to earn that? I sat down and had dinner, talked with a few folks, shared some stories. They brought the money. It's great. It's about as easy as it gets when it comes to fundraising. But there was a challenging part about it because at this dinner, for dessert, they had a tray of my most favorite butter tarts just sitting there waiting to be enjoyed. Raisin-free, of course, and they were butter tarts from the Sweet and Savory Pie Company in Waterloo. These truly are my absolute favorites. But I remembered, of course, in looking at this tray of my favorite butter tarts, that I am not allowed to eat them. That's because earlier this month, when I was hired by Hefner Lexus Toyota for Farwell for Hire, they made their usual $2,000 donation to our Fund for Cystic Fibrosis Research. And then they said, you know, Mike, it's our 65th anniversary of Hefner Lexus Toyota in this town. And in honor of that, we would like to make an additional $6,500 donation. But there's a catch. You must go 30 days without eating a butter tart. 30 days for a guy that loves his butter tarts. Of course, I have to accept the challenge because I want to raise as much money as possible for cystic fibrosis research. But when you see a tray of your favorites sitting right in front of you, it's a reminder of how difficult this can be. So in order to help me to the end of the line here. This did not surprise me. I looked online for a butter tart song, and wouldn't you know, I found one.
Oh, butter tarts, butter tarts. No, there's none that can compare with butter tarts.
That is a folk singer by the name of Paul Mills, and he's singing a song by Shelley Posen of Ottawa, who wrote the song about butter tarts. That's just the reminder of what this is all about. And how many more days do I have until I reach the 30 days and the $6,500 donation from Hefner Lexus Toyota? Let's spin the old wheel of countdown. $21. I have 21 more days to go without a butter tart. And if I can make it 21 more days, we earn the $6,500 donation from Hefner Lexus Toyota. Hang in there with me. I mean, you can have butter tarts. In fact, if you go to Sweet and Savory Pie Company, where I get my favorite butter tarts, they are donating $2 from every dozen butter tarts sold to our Farwell for Hire campaign this month. So, heck, you can enjoy them. Enjoy more on my behalf because I can't. But in 21 days, I will be allowed to enjoy a butter tart again. The challenge was accepted. We're going to count it down every day on the show just so I can see the light at the end of that tunnel. You have probably heard me not just now, but so many times, of course, through this month, which is Farwell for Hire Month, talking about this charity. It is in support of cystic fibrosis research. You probably know that cystic fibrosis impacted my family. That's the reason that we do this fundraiser every year. But you are making a huge difference with your support in the lives of families right here in the region of Waterloo. And we're going to tell you more about that so you can have a better understanding of how much you're helping. That's coming up here on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. If you have known me for more than a minute, you probably know that I am passionate about raising funds for cystic fibrosis research, because cystic fibrosis is a fatal genetic disease. And it impacted my family. Two of my sisters passed away from cystic fibrosis many years ago. It actually goes back decades now. But 12 years ago, but this is the 13th campaign. 12 years ago, back in 2014, decided to launch this fundraising effort called Farwell for Hire. I kind of liked the alliteration, and the idea was that I was literally for hire to do different jobs in exchange for a donation to the charity that means so much to me. As I said, if you know me for more than a minute, you probably know that this is a thing with me. And you might get sick of hearing about it, right? Because every year in the month of May, it's all Farwell for Hire all the time, because May is Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. We shifted the campaign into June this year because those Kitchener Rangers kept me pretty busy. We played the Memorial Cup championship game on May the 31st out in Kelowna, British Columbia. And then we flew home on Monday morning, June the 1st, and after a few hours sleep, got up and started right into Farwell for Hire fundraising. You've heard plenty from me, but I want you to hear from somebody that knows a heck of a lot more and can tell you a much more important story about where we are at today and the benefit that we receive as an organization of cystic fibrosis through your generosity with this campaign. I'm very pleased to welcome to the show Kelly Grover, who is the president and CEO with Cystic Fibrosis Canada. Kelly, thank you so much for the time. Good morning.
Mike, thank you so much for having me. And I do want to say I might know more about what we're doing for the disease, but Mike, your family has been impacted in a way that many families have in Canada. And I just want to say I have not experienced that. And I'm thrilled that we can carry on your legacy and your family's legacy through the generosity of your donors. So thank you for having me, and I'm tremendously saddened that your circumstances brought me here today, but we're thankful for the work you've been doing.
Well, and that goes both ways, Kelly, because the work that you and the entire team at Cystic Fibrosis Canada are doing also helps what we hope to help through our fundraising efforts, and that is change outcomes for families who are still navigating this terrible disease. Let's start, if we could, with Cystic Fibrosis Canada as an organization. What is your mission? What do you do as an organization?
Well, we want people to live fuller, healthier lives and not be burdened by their cystic fibrosis. Our vision is a life unlimited by CF. So you and I don't have CF, and we don't think about, we can think about our life in a way we might be burdened by our own finances or a family situation, but certainly we're not burdened by our cystic fibrosis. It doesn't guide us in terms of what job we take, what hospital we want to be close to. So that's our mission, is to ensure people can live longer, fuller, healthier lives.
I have shared with folks over the years how important the research into this disease has been, and how much of those important milestones were met right here in Canada. In fact, not far from us here in the region of Waterloo, chief among them being that discovery of the CF gene at Sick Kids Hospital decades ago. But the CF story in Canada is a pretty compelling one. Can you kind of trace the roots of that story for us?
100%. So you're right. The gene was founded just down the street from where I am right now in Toronto, and that was from research funding that was provided by Cystic Fibrosis Canada. But Cystic Fibrosis Canada was built by parents and caregivers and families and friends who knew that they wanted to see something different for their kids. And it's over 65 years ago. The parents in Ontario, actually, just down in Brantford, the Summer Hayes started Cystic Fibrosis Canada, and they had a vision that their kids, they had 2 children with CF, should live a long, healthy life. And they started building a community that we have the benefit of working with and have made extraordinary change. You spoke about the research investment in the gene. Well, the research investment in the gene resulted in new medication that is available for Canadians that we fought very hard over the years of the pandemic to get available in Canada. And I was just thinking today when I was coming to speak with you, I started in 2018 here, and the median age of survival, which means half of the people, the age I'm going to give you, half of the people will die before that and half will live beyond it. But it was age 50 when I started. And last year, our latest results from our registry is age 64. And that is because of the investments people made in research and in healthcare to ensure that people could live healthier lives. And it's just a tremendous success story in terms of the investments made. But there's so much more work to do, and I can tell you a little bit more about that.
Certainly. And I love that way of describing the progress in the less than 10 years since you've been the president and CEO at Cystic Fibrosis Canada, from the median age of 50 to the median age of 64. When my sisters were alive, and it was different, they called it life expectancy, but was 24. And this goes back to the early 1990s. My oldest sister, Luann, lived to 24. My younger sister, Sherry, lived to be just 18. But that was more common, I would say, all those decades ago, and here we are now. So that work that you say still needs to be done and is being done, what does that look like?
Well, I just want to say it's a game changer that we've been in, and I want everybody listening and everybody that supported you to know that those investments make a difference. What I do want to say is many people have heard about the new medication. The name is Trikafta, and we were able to get that here available to Canadians living with cystic fibrosis, and it has helped many people. It really has transformed their life. But it is my analogy, which might be poor, is a baseball analogy, and I say we only got to first base. So people only had regular symptom management drugs for their cystic fibrosis. They still needed to do a lot of hours of treatment each day and take a lot of different pills. And now that has decreased a little bit, so they got to first base, in my words. But that doesn't mean that they don't have other things going on. So I spoke to somebody recently. She's in her early 30s, and I said, "How are you doing?" And she said, "Not great." And she said, "Trikafta helped my lungs, but it hasn't helped my other parts of my body and my GI." So she has bowel obstructions every 3 weeks. Not a great way to live. So we have many other people that have other issues. They have CF-related diabetes. They have liver issues, significant mental health issues with our community, much more than the non-CF population. So there is so much more work to be done. The thing that I also want to remind everybody about is the Trikafta that we have available, or the new, they're called CFTR modulators. They don't help everybody with CF. CF is not one disease. It's a disease of different mutations. And there are about 120 people now who cannot take the drug. It won't work for them at all. And then there's other people who can't tolerate the drug. So we are so thankful, Mike, that we got to the place we're at, but we still have to keep going. And I know many people now have or see a community that has a medication, and they think we are at a cure, and we're nowhere near a cure. We're thankful for where we are, but we have so much more work to be done. The other part that I was going to say is it's extra challenging. In years when I started, there was one mission, let's say, or one North Star, which was to keep people alive. Now we are doing that, but it's just such a heterogeneous group of people. So for CF Canada, we really have to stay focused on who's most burdened by the disease and drive to new medications for those that don't have any, better understanding in our research of the other health issues that people are having. And then thirdly, ensuring that they're not facing a financial burden to access these medications, which people do in Ontario. So lots of work left to be done.
I'm glad you talk about where we're going and the work that is left to be done, because over the many years that our family has been connected to Cystic Fibrosis Canada, Kelly, there have been different leaders and people within the organization that were reluctant to use the word cure or talk about the quest to find that cure. I have the luxury of being able to be more bold, and I always throw that word out there because that's what I want. And I think that the advances that we have made, they give me hope anyway. But as an organization, Cystic Fibrosis Canada today, what is the focus?
Well, we are focused on everybody living with CF, but there's a couple areas I want to highlight that are very important. One is people who don't have any treatments. I've said it throughout this chat with you. It's imperative that we don't leave anyone behind. You almost have a have and a have-not group of people now in CF, and so we are deeply focused on those that don't have new medications, and that would be the focus now for those folks are genetic therapies. So we have a clinical trials network. That means that we can test new drugs for these folks in Canada. It's kind of unusual for a rare disease to have this. It's a really great win for us. So we can ensure we stay focused on those folks that don't have any new medications. Then we have these major complications, as I told you about the woman I know who has GI issues. We need to have more solutions for those folks that have GI or mental health issues. So we're going to invest in research in that area. The healthcare, the clinical care has been wonderful in Canada. We have specialized CF clinics. But, now that you've got a really different kind of population, some people are doing better on the medication, some people aren't. Some people, as I said, don't have medication. We're investing and working with our clinicians to make sure the care adapts to our varied population. And then, of course, A big part of CF Canada has been our advocacy to ensure we've got new treatments available, that there's not a burden to people when they access them. But also, as I said, people are still sick, so they're in and out of hospital, they're in and out of work and school. We need to have good disability supports for them. You shouldn't have a extra burden financially because you're trying to take care of your disease. So those are some of the areas that we'll be focused on moving forward over the next number of years.
I was able to share just before the 11 o'clock news this morning a story about a big donation that we received from a local company, Hefner Lexus Toyota, and another donation just this week from a Farwell for Hire event with Dominion Lending in Waterloo. Combined, it's almost $11,000, which is going into the Farwell for Hire Fund, which supports CF Canada in perpetuity. And there have been a lot more donations like that for the fund. And then on the other side of our fundraising, of course, we have the Farwell for Hire 50/50 raffle, which has gained $5,000 in the jackpot just in the past 36 hours or so as we get closer to that grand prize draw next Tuesday afternoon. But the monies, and last year it was over $121,000 that we were able to give to CF Canada. Can you give us a sense, Kelly, of what these funds help CF Canada do?
Mike, I've said this to you in person, but just listening to you, I have shivers up my back. Like, just the generosity of the folks that support you, the championing you have done. We are so deeply appreciative. We are almost 100%, I think it's 99%, funded by the generosity of people like those that support Farwell for Hire. We would have $0 to invest in the areas that I've told you about or to have the impact we have. We stay very, very focused as an organization on where we'll have the greatest impact. So I do want donors to know that. We're not just dabbling in all areas, but as I said, there is no other funding coming into CF Canada. Tiny percentage from our folks in the U.S., our friends in the U.S. who help with our clinical trials network, but this is all through the generosity of the folks that support you and your support as well. So it is deeply important, and we are deeply, deeply thankful.
I'm so glad you could make time for the show today. And of course, the work that you and the entire team at Cystic Fibrosis Canada continue to do. Kelly, thank you very much for being here. This is important for folks to hear, and I'm glad you could be here to share it with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's an honor to work on behalf of this community, and thank you to you. Cheers to you, Mike. Thanks so much.
All right, Kelly. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Kelly Grover is the president and CEO at Cystic Fibrosis Canada, and hopefully that paints the picture. It does for me. I get a little bit emotional if you're... boy. We've come a long way. We have come a long way since the early 1990s when our family lost two of its members, and I am incredibly encouraged by that. I'm incredibly encouraged that every time I hit the refresh button on my computer, I see the Farwell for Hire 50/50 jackpot growing, because I know that means more money for Cystic Fibrosis Canada and the research that they are doing, and how important, as you hear from Kelly, this fundraising is. So we as a cystic fibrosis community are so incredibly grateful to you as a generous community that wants to support people who are navigating what can be an incredibly challenging life with cystic fibrosis. But that median age all the way up to 64, that's about 40 years better than we were 30-ish years ago when we lost my sisters. We are doing very important work, making incredible strides forward. And it remains my sincere hope that we will one day find a cure. And thanks to your donations, just to put an exclamation point on this, thanks to your donations, the Farwell for Hire Fund will in perpetuity, forever and ever, amen, support Cystic Fibrosis Canada. That's the arrangement we have been fortunate enough to make with the Waterloo Region Community Foundation, where our fund is held. And I promise you this, I still think we're going to get there. If on the slim chance we don't reach that cure before I shake free from this mortal coil, all of the money in that fund, of course, will go directly to Cystic Fibrosis Canada. But it continues to put out money every year thanks to you. So I hope that gives you a better understanding of why we do what we do and the impact that your support is having. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. In case you had not heard how much the stakes have been raised in the Farwell for Hire 50-50 raffle, here's where we're at. If the jackpot reaches $150,000 or a take-home prize of $75,000, I will do my Hot Ones challenge, eating increasingly hot wings while still trying to host the show. And I'll do that while wearing a jersey of the team that shall not be named. That's if the jackpot gets to $150,000. But if the jackpot gets to $200,000, that team that shall not be named will become the team I cheer for next hockey season. We'll have a lot of fun on the show cheering for that team together if the jackpot gets to $200,000. And if the jackpot should reach $250,000 or just a little bit more than it reached last year, because, it's always nice to outdo what you did a year ago. If we get to $250,000 in the jackpot or $125,000 for the take-home prize, I will wear the jersey of the team that shall not be named while walking in the annual KW Oktoberfest Thanksgiving Day Parade. And you will have free reign to say what you want as I make that walk. It depends on how high the jackpot gets. Right now, the jackpot is at $117,745. That's a take-home prize of almost $59,000. If you want to get a ticket, you can do so. There's an early bird prize being put up tomorrow, $2,500 in cash from TLC Pet Food. So why not get your tickets today? Because you can get all of those incentives with the stakes being raised as the jackpot grows. The final draw is next Tuesday at noon, but TLC Pet Food's putting $2,500 in your pocket tomorrow, and you could win that, and you're still in for the overall jackpot. So great reason to buy your tickets today. CF5050.ca. This is the Mike Farwell Show on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Decided to have a little bit of fun today with a way back, playback, throwback Thursday kind of picture on our show's Facebook page. If you have not yet seen it, of course, you can always visit our show's Facebook page. It's right there on the Facebook. Just search The Mike Farwell Show. And hey, follow along if you're not already doing so. Every once in a while, you'll get a throwback picture like the one that's been posted today. According to some of the folks who have commented, I couldn't remember the year. I remember most of my life in eras of which radio station I was at during which years. It's just the way this career has worked out, I suppose. I always remember the first time I came through the doors of this radio station was 1999, and then I've been kind of in and out ever since, coming back permanent-like in 2007. But I knew the radio station I was working at when this particular photo was taken. I worked at between 2004 and 2008. So somewhere in that era. But according to folks who have commented already, 2005 was the era of this picture. And it is a picture of me and a couple of my co-workers standing next to John Cena. Yes, that John Cena, the former WWE champion. And it was at a wrestling event at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Now, you may know that I'm not the biggest fan of what I call wrestling. I mean, I loved it as a kid. I kind of outgrew it, but hey, you do you. And I will say this about my opportunity with this previous radio station to be a part of this WWE event at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. It was fantastic. Like, the men and women that were wrestling or performing that night were professional to the core. Up and like everything they did with a high degree of professionalism. And just imagine little old me standing there in the ring introducing one of the matches, and the wrestlers come in the ring and they jump over the ropes, or they come through the ropes and they hug you and they, a handshake and fist bump or whatever it is, treating you like you're part of the whole show, made you feel right at home, like you were a part of something. And then the picture I was able to snag later with then WWE champ John Cena, who, by the way, if you know John Cena, I mean, he's not the smallest guy. And then you know me, and you know that I am pretty much the smallest guy. And my radio name back when this picture was taken, for whatever reason, was Big Mike. And John Cena, towering over me with biceps the size of my head, called me Big Mike the whole night. That's how true to his professionalism that he was. So I shared this in a more lighthearted way to get us talking about, and I posed the question on Facebook, and we'll ask you right here, about your favorite memories of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. So that one certainly stands out for me in a fun way. The chance to be there in the ring announcing a WWE wrestling match, and the way everybody treated us. And it was a great time. It was a great time. And obviously I could pick how many different hockey experiences or concert experiences. I thought I'd go a little bit different and share the throwback picture. But we were able to share with you on the show last week that the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium is celebrating 75 years this year. May the 24th, 1951, the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium opened its doors. And not just the building, but what about the grounds around the Memorial Auditorium, right? The old COE, the Central Ontario Exhibition, used to be there. I have fond memories of that. Again, I could talk about concerts. I could talk about tons of hockey games. I could talk about the COE and all the fun we had there. I went with the wrestling event, but in 75 years, surely you have been to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium or the grounds around it for something that stands out as a memory. So as the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium celebrates 75 years, let's celebrate our memories, our favorite memories of being at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. That's your question or your opportunity on the Flipside today, 519-570-2545, star 570, or 1-800-570-5715. Now, I have to make sure this first caller isn't pranking me. Is this really the one and only producer, Paulie?
It is, Farwell. How are you?
I know that voice anywhere. My goodness. I'm great. I know that laugh anywhere. I'm great, buddy. How are you?
Not too bad. I knew I had to call in today when you were talking about the odd memories because I have a funny one that I had to share with you.
Good. Let's hear it.
So, of course, as we all know, the name of the arena is the Dom Cardillo Arena.
Correct.
Of course, named after former Kitchener mayor. So many, many years ago, I was at a Rangers game, and Dom was sitting, 2 or 3 rows ahead of me, and he stood up to stretch or let somebody through, whatever, and the guy next to me yelled, "Sit down, what do you think, you own the place?"
And you're like, as a matter of fact, he does.
Yeah, everybody laughed. I can't remember if there was a response or not, but I always remember that story whenever I see the Dom Cardillo sign.
I absolutely love it. Paulie, it's great to hear your voice. Thanks for sharing the story.
You too. Talk to you later.
Sounds good. I will talk to you later. Paulie's been around. Boy, he was at our Farwell for Hire launch party. He was at our event with the Kitchener Panthers last weekend. Paulie, he's a true friend and remains such. And speaking of that memory that Paulie has, what do you think? You own the place? I was at a Kitchener Rangers game one night when Dom Cardillo won the 50-50 draw. This was after his time as mayor, but the boos that rained down when Dom Cardillo's name was announced as the 50-50 winner at a Kitchener Rangers game. We'll go to Lisa next. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How about you?
I'm good. I'm a little wet, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's getting nasty out there.
I guess if you're a farmer, you need the rain, right?
So, they've had plenty. I'll take some sunshine now, thank you. Honestly.
Yeah. I had two pretty good memories. One sort of a blanket memory from when we were kids. My mom and dad would never, they wouldn't go as far as taking us to the CNE. That was too much on a farmer's paycheck, shall we say. But we always went to the COE, and that was at the auditorium every year. So we'd go do the midway and look around at everything that was in the arena at that time. And that was pretty enjoyable for us when we were kids. And the other one was coming to the Toronto Maple Leafs training camp there a couple times and watching people like Matt Sundin and I got Cujo's autograph, I got Sundin's autograph, I got a bunch of autographs of the players of the time, Dougie Gilmore and some other guys, and then got to see the up and coming players like Matt Stajan, who was playing for the Leafs at that time. So that was something that was really enjoyable. And I got to sit beside Pat Quinn for a little while and have a conversation with him up in the stands. So that's another good memory for me of the auditorium.
I love it, Lisa. Thanks very much for sharing that. The COE brings back memories for so many of us. And just so you know, in just a couple of weeks, July the 9th through the 12th, there will be a midway at the Odd again this summer. July 9th through the 12th in celebration of 75 years at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. So get ready for that little COE throwback coming up in a couple of weeks. I remember those Leafs training camps as well, and I remember running into a bunch of the players at the Charcoal Steakhouse or Martini's after one of the games or the days or whatever, and got a few autographs myself back then. And you also make me think, Lisa, of the Boreal Salming movie that was shot at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium, because many people described it as a mini Maple Leaf Gardens when it was first built, and it still kind of holds true to that. It looks an awful lot like the old Maple Leaf Gardens. And so I snuck in there one night while the filming was going on and watched some of it, and the way they had transformed things, just covering up logos, making the boards look more retro in the, beneath the stands, kind of in the bowels of the arena, the Kitchener Rangers signs and whatnot, and modern signs that they covered up to make it look like Maple Leaf Gardens back in the day. It was really cool to watch. Some of the stuff they hung on the walls to make it look like Maple Leaf Gardens down there. Very, very cool. Richard is with us on the flip side. Richard, what's your favorite memory of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium?
Well, believe it or not, Mike, the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey three-ring circus.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. And Mike, I actually have the program, and my mom took me there when I was probably 10 or 12 years old. I don't remember exactly. And when I'm coming into the Rangers games and that, I think, I saw the circus here. Three rings, trapeze, tigers, lions, the whole bit. And that's a very favorite memory of mine at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
I love it, Richard. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Great to hear from you today. It was so much more than just a hockey arena, right? I remember going there for the Ice Capades. I remember going there for the Harlem Globetrotters. One time, those Globetrotters took me out on the floor and chased me around with the bucket of water, which turned out to be a bucket of confetti. But I gave them the best run I could with my short little legs. Grant, what about you? Favorite memory of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium?
Yeah, the band Prism, my first concert, and that singer is no longer living. He got killed when he was driving his bike in the wintertime, and the authorities thought maybe he was on drugs, but he had a brain hemorrhage and later on passed away. And also going to the CNE and waiting at the gate to help out, and they would not pick me. And then later on I said, hey, what me? Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was short, they always pick the tall guys, and I helped out maybe setting up a ride, and then the doodly bird that was paying people, he didn't really pay me. So,
well, listen, I can feel your pain, Grant, on being the short guy that gets overlooked. But we can do some things that those taller people can't do. And I find it interesting that with all of the concerts, Led Zeppelin, Rush, Elton John, it's the Prism concert that stands out for Grant. That's okay. His favorite memory is that. What is yours? 75 years of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. What memory stands out most to you? That's the question we're asking on the flip side this morning. This is the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. A three-ring circus, the old COE, Central Ontario Exhibition, Leafs training camps, Prism concerts, a WWE event with former champ John Cena circa 2005. Some of the memories that have come up so far during the flip side as we remember our favorite memories of going to the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium or the grounds around it. The odd is 75 this year. What's your favorite memory? Back to the phones. Rockin' Ronnie, good morning.
Hi, Farzi. How are you?
Great, pal. How are you feeling, Weebs?
Pretty good, thank you.
Good.
Going way back in the day, Ice Capades, of course, was popular.
Sure.
It was right around my birthday, and my mom and dad would take me to Ice Capades, of course. And you mentioned, I think, circus.
Yep.
Already, and public skating. And then, the best of all, you know what it is. Kitchener Rangers.
Yeah, it's hard to beat those memories. They are the main tenant, and they have been for 60-plus years.
Oh, gosh, yeah. And also the Dutchman, KW Dutchman.
Yep.
Not the Junior B team. That was Senior A back in the day. And the Kitchener Beavers, which a lot of people know. Don Cherry played for them. And if you go to the auditorium, you'll see a big poster of all the players from that team. So carry on and see you later, eh?
Thanks, Ronnie. Great to hear from you today. The public skating, I remember at the old Annex. Do you remember that? Where you could go and we had free skating after schools. I think it was on Wednesdays. But anyway, that's before, again, all of the expansions. The Kinsman Kiwanis Arena would happen eventually and the Annex would go away. And when it comes to Rangers games, one of my fondest memories is going with my dad as a kid. And we would pop popcorn at home before we went to the games and put it in a brown paper bag. And then by the time we got to the rink, it was kind of soggy and the brown paper bag was sweating through. But just imagine, you used to be able to just walk in there with your own popcorn. I don't think they let you do that anymore. You got to buy from the concessions, don't you know? Carl is with us on the flip side. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
Oh, this sounds like my friend Carl Kiefer.
You're right.
Good to hear from you, sir.
Mike, I just wanted to say that, as a young kid, 14 years old, I used to hitchhike in the days of hitchhiking up to the Odd to watch the Rangers. But then I got a chance to play in the Odd in the late 60s for the Preston Legion Raiders against the Kitchener Green Shirts. And so, I had a few memories hockey-wise in there. And later on, of course, I spent 10 years in the OHA, and I was on the lines, and one of my big games that I like to talk about was when the Marlies played the Kitchener Rangers. George Armstrong was behind the bench coaching the Marlies, and Eddie Bush was coaching the Kitchener Rangers. So a couple of memories there.
I love that. Hey, it was a long way to go from Preston up to Kitchener when you had to hitchhike, eh?
Yeah, well, as you know, hitchhiking now is a no-no, but back in those days, it was okay. Now, we always used to find somebody that was at the game that could give us a ride back.
There you go. It's good to hear from you, Mr. Kiefer. Thanks for calling.
You too, Mike.
Great memories there. George Armstrong as the coach there with those Marlies. I remember, of course, the captain of the last Stanley Cup team with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I remember running into him as a scout in hockey. And it was just a thrill to see him around the rink. Doug is with us on the flip side. Doug, what's your favorite memory of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium?
Well, Mike, you mentioned wrestling in 2005, but I don't know if you won't remember this, but back in the 70s, they had wrestling at the Odd every Monday night.
No kidding.
And I would go almost every Monday night. My uncle was managing a wrestler called Haystack Calhoun at the time.
I remember that name.
And I'd meet my Uncle Charlie at the front, and he'd sneak me in. I never had to pay to get in, which was kind of nice.
It is nice, yeah.
We got to meet some of the wrestlers, and one night they were going to this TV station afterwards to make a little clip for the Saturday Night News to promote the next Mondays. And he was traveling with a wrestler called Tex McKenzie, and he called Tex over and he said, me and Haystacks are going to make TV. Why don't you drive my nephew home for me? And I got a ride home by Tex McKenzie, which was kind of neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Great stories, Doug. Thanks for sharing.
Yep, take care.
You too. Bye-bye. Good to hear from you today. Let's go next to Old Bob. Not young Bob, it's Old Bob. Hello, Bob.
It is to my young nephew. Anyways, 1960. Now, bearing in mind, I learned how to skate and play hockey outdoors on a pond. And my first year indoors was in 59, where they had the big water hose across the center ice when you had 4 teams on the ice at one time. And the ice was always this grayish, blackish that you're playing on. That's what it was.
Yeah, I remember.
I walked in to the gardens there, the Kitchener Odd, in 1960, and my eyes were as big as saucers. I couldn't believe it. White ice. The ice was white, and it had color on it. The red line, the blue lines, the circles, and even writing in the ice. I couldn't believe it. That was my first wow.
I believe it, Bob. I believe it. It's a beautiful building. Remember, when it was built in 51, 75 years ago, 4th largest arena in Ontario. Let that sink in. Brian Allison, musicologist and memories of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium.
Oh, my God. It's not a good memory, though, Mike. It's a sad memory.
What happened?
It scars me to this day. So, 1976, I am 6 years old. I am already music crazy, and I'm Kiss crazy. Kiss is my favorite band at 6 years old, believe it or not. Posters on the wall, the whole deal. My cousin, who was 16 years old, came to my mom sometime in about January or February and said, I have tickets to see Kiss at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. Friday, April 23rd, 1976. I still know the date. Could I take Brian with me? My mom went ballistic. There is no way you're taking my 6-year-old to a quote-unquote acid rock band.
Uh-huh.
And I was denied. So I did not get to see Kiss in 1976. Didn't find this out until after the event. I have never forgiven my mother to this day. But I still have a poster in my man cave from that actual show, Kitchener Memorial Auditorium, April 23rd, 1976, that I did not get to go to.
I love it, Brian. I love it. Thanks for sharing the story.
Anytime.
See you Monday. Brian Allison coming in studio next Monday for This Week in Music History. We're going to do all Canada music all the time, and you can phone in and we'll share some Canadian music memories. That might be another Flipside topic for someday. What have you never forgiven your parents for? Lots of fun sharing memories of the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. She's 75 and she looks great. It's the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrub that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak.
Don't talk back.
Just finish cleaning up your room. Let's see that dust fly with that broom. Get all that garbage outside, or you don't go out Friday night.
Don't talk back.
Every day between noon and 1, we open the phone lines so that you get the chance to have your say. It is Rogers' radio station, but really, these airwaves belong to you each and every day for a full hour. You can weigh in on the issues of the day or tell us what you think should be the issue of the day. And we will continue the conversation. We are here to entertain it. 519-570-2545. Star 570 or 1-800-570-5715. Right to the phones we go. Tom is with us. Good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Mike. This is speed increasement that Mr. Ford is going to implement on our highways. I think that he's asking for a little bit more trouble than he's actually bargaining for. That I don't know how he can justify an extra 20 minutes is going to save a driver or someone going from, say, Cambridge to Windsor. It's going to save them 20 minutes by increasing the speed limit by 10 kilometers. We have problems enough on our roads and on our city streets with people trying to do just the bare minimum speed limit. Never mind try to do the maximum. So maybe it should be a minimum speed limit of 100 or 600 Ks or 60 Ks, whatever it's going to be. And then how are we going to police this to enforce and make the roads even safer than they are today? I just don't understand the reasoning behind this. I've lived in BC, and the traffic volume in BC outside of the major population area is a lot less than it is coming out of Toronto and the main cities in Ontario. So 110 is not going to make me feel any more comfortable when you got people still driving by you at 140.
Can I offer you a counterpoint, Tom?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you used Cambridge to Windsor as an example. When you get on that 401 on the other side of London, right, in that wide open expanse of nothingness that is the stretch of the 401 from London to Windsor, 110 isn't fast enough. It should be 130. What are we doing here? Honestly.
Well, okay.
What's the danger in doing 130 out there?
The danger of doing 130 is the cars are not designed.
Oh, yes, they are. They are. The drivers aren't always very good, but the cars are absolutely designed to do 130.
Mike, at 130, even at 100 Ks an hour, you lose your brakes. Even with today's modern technology and braking.
Tom, again, it's a great wide expanse of nothingness. Who cares?
I care.
Okay, fair. And I'm just saying I don't.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that I think we'll have a lot more unqualified drivers driving at speeds that they are not able to drive at and thinking that their cars are impenetrable. And next thing you know, someone's going to wind up in a ditch again, driving too fast.
Yeah.
On wet highways, slippery highways that aren't qualified.
Okay. Yeah, I get you. Okay. And I appreciate it. Thank you, Tom. Good to hear from you. I just wanted to put that out there as a counter. Like 110, why stop there? And I'm talking about London to Windsor on the 401, Coburg-ish to Kingston, maybe at least Belleville on the 401 East. Think of the vast space out there, far less traveled, and I'm saying, why stop at 110? Other parts of the world have figured this out. I don't know why we kind of nibble around the edges of it. I just don't. If you're going to increase it, don't just increase it to 110. My opinion. Jerry is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Jerry.
Good afternoon, Mike. It's been a couple of days.
Well, it's been a lot more than a couple of days on the radio, but I saw you on Monday night. Yes, a couple of days since then. It was great to see your handsome face.
Well, I was always told I have a face for radio.
That makes two of us.
I guess I really wasn't going to talk about the speed limit, but my only thing of going to 130, Mike, is we're going to have a lot of morons thinking that they can still do 130 in inclement weather. But anyways, no, I was just going to call to say thank you for everything you do and donating your time once again. And I was a little flabbergasted with what I thought I heard the next day on the turnaround you appear to have had.
Well, you
You
were one of the people, Jerry, that Edward Ferruzel, that little so-and-so that is the executive director of KW Accessibility, was also on my case, and a few others in the room. So you started something about me and putting my fundraising mouth where my Leaf fandom is.
Well, I mean, although I respect it when we talked. I asked you the question, and you gave the answer, and I was like, hey, whether I like the answer is what I want to hear. It's the truth, right? But
that's what you get.
Exactly. But good on you for willing to take one on the chin for the team, we'll say. And you have yourself a great afternoon.
Thanks, Jerry. You too. Good to hear from you. That's where it all started. It was a challenge put forward. Hey, how much do you really care about your charity? A ton. So the team that I absolutely despise and have my entire life in hockey is now up for grabs, if you will. I will become a fan of that team. I will wear that team's jersey. But first, our Farwell for Hire 50-50 jackpot has to reach certain thresholds. The jersey goes on if the jackpot gets to 150. I become 150,000, that is. I become a fan of the team. All of next season, I will cheer for them with you if the jackpot gets to 200,000. And if the jackpot reaches $250,000, I will wear the jersey. I will do those other things and wear the jersey while walking in the annual KW Oktoberfest Thanksgiving Day Parade in October. But I really don't believe that fans of that team have near enough jam to get the jackpot that high. We will see. Jackpot currently $118,445. You can get a ticket at cf5050.ca, and it's win-win for you because you get, like, the take-home prize is just under $60,000. That's your money. Plus, if you get your tickets now, you can win another $2,500 in our early bird draw tomorrow. TLC Pet Food is giving you that money, and you're still in for the big jackpot. So lots of opportunity here, lots of incentive, thanks to Jerry, that knucklehead that just phoned. He got it started on Monday night, and I accepted the challenge. Gary, Farwell's Force, member number 41, is with us. Afternoon, Gary.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you? It's been a while.
It has been a minute. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Well, just enjoying the rain. It's going to be good for the grass and the garden and the flowers.
Stop it. No, I'm sorry. I'm putting my foot down hard on this. They've had enough rain. The weather this entire year has sucked. Every bit of it since January. It sucks. Sorry.
I know.
I feel very passionate about it, Gary.
Oh, I do too. I haven't been a fan of the weather lately myself.
It's cold. It sucks.
Yeah, as long as when the weekend comes, it's nice enough to go to the trailer, and sit around the campfire. But just quick, that's what I was calling in about, Mike, because I was out doing my driving around yesterday, and in the little news clip, they were saying of all the challenges, and it was spicy wings and wearing the shirt of the MC and then cheering for the MC. And I'm like, I hope Mike has his insurance or paperwork, everything filled out, because that's going to be a tough one on your system there, buddy.
Safest bet I ever made, Gary. Those fans of that team, they don't have the jam. They don't got the stuff.
Hey, one last question, and I know it's been a while, but I've always been curious because I still listen faithful every day when I can. The garbage bins, how's that all been working out over there?
Oh, well, it's funny you should ask because I was just complaining about it yesterday. Short answer, for me, I still hate it. I hate it. I tried not to use that word. I still hate it. Although I know what you're getting at. Gary's in Guelph, and they have the same cart-based waste collection system. As far as the collection and whatnot goes, it's going well. I got my gold star last week for putting my bins out properly. I was very excited by that. Okay, I really wasn't, but whatever. So it seems to be working, at least from that standpoint. We're getting our carts to the curb. They're getting picked up. Some of them get busted, but whatever. But I still cannot stand the new system. Drives me bananas. Joe, you're next on Talkback. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mike. Yeah, I love these typical liberals that call in complaining for more controls rather than less, because they're typical liberals think that they know what's better for us than the rest of us do. So, yeah, thanks, Tom, but I don't need your liberal pricking control. We need less control. Everybody on the 401 is doing 130 anyway. Get your head right. Like, we're already speeding. I do 20 over everywhere I go. And I have to, because if I go more than that, I'm on facility for like the fourth time. But 4 decades, I've never hit another car. I've never had an accident on the highway. So, thanks, liberals, but we don't need your controls. We need less. So one last point, Mike. What do you think if the Leafs trade Austin Matthews? Can you imagine what we can get for him?
I don't know how much more we're going to get than a bag of pucks for a guy that was injured and didn't perform well last year.
Well, he's a proven goal scorer. Not that matters in the playoffs because he doesn't go into the boards. So if we can get a couple of guys like Florida Panther type guys, I think we'd go a long way of making the playoffs and like doing something in the playoffs. As long as we get rid of all these McPuffs and get some hard-nosed guys that'll go into the corners. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, Joe. I appreciate the call. I think it was Rick Bowness, who was coaching Columbus at the time, that called the Florida Panthers nasty. And I think we learned that with the Kitchener Rangers this season. You got to be a little bit nasty if you want to win hockey championships. I don't know about trading Austin Matthews. And I certainly don't know about turning the increases to speed limits on highways in Ontario into a liberal conservative thing. But all I'm saying is in the areas that we're talking about, they are far more isolated. I understand points in town and the dangers of speeding and all of it. But anyway, and how many times do you see a sign that says drive according to weather conditions? I understand the point that people will, abuse the privilege because that's what some people do. And that's why they belong in jackwagon jail. But I'm like 110, let's get real here. Vehicles are engineered, the roads are engineered to handle far higher speeds. And when you're driving in these isolated areas with long stretches of asphalt in front of you, what's 110? Make it 120 or 130 already. Just my opinion. You're welcome to share your opinions during the Talkback Hour. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is a busy day on the phones for our Talkback Hour. This is exactly the way we like it because it's your hour to have your say. Patty, you were right there. You were going to be next, and I'm sorry you had to drop off during that commercial break, I guess. But if you want to call back, we'll put you right back at the front of the line. We were seconds away from finishing the commercials and getting to your call, but you're welcome to try us back. Star 570, 519-570-2545. And 1-800-570-5715. Patty gets priority. Right now it's to Kyle on Talkback. Good afternoon, Kyle.
Good afternoon. You guys are doing this whole highway thing wrong. First of all, the problem with, I'll give you a few examples. First of all, the people that are going in the lane or in the left lane, they have this idea that they could just stay there and nobody goes over like they do in Europe. The minute you're in the fast lane in Europe, people pull over to the right hand. They let that person go faster than the person in the middle lane. And the trucks always stay in the right lane. They don't go and veer into the left lane. They don't go and veer into the middle. They stay in their lane. The second thing is this whole suggestion of when it's raining, slow down, do what Europe does and get some digital signs because you know what? It's not hard for the Western world, the new world to do this because we have the technology, but they do it in Europe. When I was in Austria, if it was raining or snowing, instead of saying 120 kilometers an hour on the highway, it bopped down to 80 kilometers an hour. And it wasn't just the signage on the road that changed. Even the GPS in the vehicle changed the speed limit when it noticed that. So it's cars these days, these guys that say the cars aren't up to speed and the brakes and all that stuff. I've taken a car at Mosport for track days many times, the GTI and all the BMWs and stuff. The brakes are amazing. The cars handle fantastic. So saying that the cars are not up to snuff about it is wrong. It's just North American drivers do not know how to drive, and that's it. It has nothing to do with the speed limits. It's just that's the way we're educated. We're not pushed hard enough to actually get drilled in our head to move over when somebody's coming faster than you. But I agree with you. Bump up the speed limits. They're way too slow. Has nothing to do with doing 110 or 100. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate the call. Love the idea of the digital signs. And honestly, Kyle is spot on. Stay right unless you're passing. I give the trucks a bit of a mulligan here because there are so many of them on the road and there are so many of us on the road. Sometimes I think they get stuck and they don't want to be in the left lane for sure, even the center lane at times, but with all the traffic volumes and in order to keep moving, they end up in other places. But I could not agree more. If we drove our highways better, we actually engaged our brains while driving, they would move so much better. Keep right unless you're passing. It's that simple. The hammer lane isn't the lane that you stay in the entire time. It's ridiculous on our roads. We have zero courtesy for other drivers, and quite frankly, we just don't get it. We really don't. It's amusing. That's the only thing I can say, because otherwise I'll just cry about it or rant. Dallas is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Dallas.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got me with the one, the retired guy with the alarm clock.
Oh, yeah. Gary Chalk, living retired. Alarm clocks in the school lockers. Isn't that great?
Man, I cannot believe that the posse of three and I can't believe that none of us came up with that idea. That is classic.
We should have all come up with that. You're right. You're darn right. Bought them at $1.44 days at Wolco.
It's absolutely. And I remember those days.
You betcha.
Anyway, the main reason why I was going to chirp in today was about the $8 million deal going on, and there's going to be accountability, and there's 65 million. You know what? The way I see it, there's a whole lot more room within regional council, not to mention municipal councils, where they need to come across and explain where all these unsurmountable amounts of dollars are going. Quite frankly, I don't understand. Well, I understand, but I don't per se. They need to be accountable, and somebody, I don't know, might have to hire a couple more bureaucrats, but somebody needs to be digging into this stuff because it keeps ballooning all the time.
Dallas, it's a great point, and I appreciate you making it. So just to help you understand, if you missed it earlier, Gary Chalk writes a humor column called Living Retired. We have Living Retired on the radio every Thursday morning at 10:30, and Gary was talking about a high school prank with wind-up alarm clocks bought at $1.44 days at Woolco that about 40 students bought, placed in their lockers to go off at the appointed time, and then they all went off. You can just imagine the racket that would have made at school. And I'm with Dallas on that point. The one thing I will say I like about what the regional government is doing by assuming control of a better tent city is that we can see where the money's going, right? 50-odd small cabins to support the otherwise unsheltered. The $65 million we're spending every year on homelessness in this community, I don't know where it is. And I would like to know. I think that level of transparency is required. Great point, Dallas. Patty is back. We promised priority access. Hi, Patty.
Hi, I am a Farwell member. Can't remember my number. I'm also the Turkey Drop T-shirt. Anyway, I wanted to get the address for the Sweet and Savory Butter Tart store.
Oh, of course, Patty. There are two of them. One is right on King Street South in Uptown Waterloo.
Okay.
So you'll be able to find that there, or at the Blackstone Plaza corner of Northfield and Bridge.
Oh, I know exactly where that is.
Okay, good.
All right, appreciate that. And you're right, the weather has sucked.
Good girl.
And I already bought all my tickets, but I keep hearing I think I should buy more.
Atta girl. You go ahead and do that. CF5050.ca. Get that jackpot going, and do like Patty is doing, and go to Sweet and Savory Pie Company for your butter tarts, because $2 from every dozen sold being donated to Farwell for Hire in support of cystic fibrosis research. It's a busy day on Talkback. Mike and Paul and Grant, hang in there, and there's still a line open for you. We'll take more calls right after this update from the 570 News Center. It's the Mike Farwell Show and the Talkback Hour on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Our Talkback Hour every day, noon until 1, gives you the chance to have your say. Right back to the phones we go. Another Farwell's Force member is with us. Number 37, Mike. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you?
Very well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I'm just at the Point Clark Lighthouse. To the north of us, it looks nasty. To the south of us, it looks like it's clearing a bit. I'd like to talk about the speed limit stuff. The first thing, I don't buy the argument that North American cars can not handle the higher speeds, because in the United States, on some interstates, the speed limit is 75 miles an hour. Now, what I'd like to talk about is during my career, I was fortunate enough to travel and live and work outside the country, both in Europe and the United States. And in Chicago, Illinois, depending on traffic conditions, weather, how busy the traffic is, they have on their freeways electronic signs. So if the traffic is light, you may go 75 miles an hour. But if the traffic is congested, like in the morning, it may only be 45 miles an hour. So I think it makes sense in some areas to have electronic signs. Now, I fully support having, in some of the rural areas, faster speed limits. Like up in Northern Ontario and even up here in Great Bruce County, right? You have to travel far and far between, right? Now in Huron County, on the county roads, the speed limit is 90 kilometers an hour, while in Bruce County, it's only 80. So I think what we need to do is look at investing in electronic speed signs, look at raising the speed limits, especially for people who have to drive long distances in rural areas where there isn't much traffic congestion, and allow that to happen. And those are my thoughts, Mike.
All right, Mike, I appreciate the call. Again, I will echo the endorsement of electronic signs. But I cannot get behind the idea, especially in light of recent events, of increasing the speeds on our rural roads. I'm all for it on these wide open stretches of median divided highways where it's just a long ribbon of asphalt. Eastern Ontario, Southwestern Ontario, London down to Windsor, etc. But the rural roads, OPP just a week or two ago now launched their Stop, Look, Live campaign because too many people, unfortunately, are missing stop signs and other road signs on those rural roads, blowing through at incredible speeds. And obviously, again, in light of recent events with very tragic outcomes. So I can't get behind. I think 80 is plenty on a rural road. There are too many other things that you're not thinking about out there that are using those roads. Farm machinery, for starters. So don't love it on the rural roads, but again, on the highways, give me 130. Stop like 110. It's almost insulting. Like, don't slap me in the face. Let me put my right foot down more on a wide open stretch of highway. Or in the case of those who ride, just let me twist that throttle a little bit further, okay? Preston Paul, Farwell's Force, member number 45. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. I won't ask you how you're doing because I know you're doing good. A couple things. Sorry to Brian Allison, but out of high school, my first concert was Kiss at the Odd in 1976.
You are breaking his heart, Paul.
I know. I was in awe. It was just, I don't even remember where I was sitting. I just remember being there and seeing these guys dressed to the nines like they did back then, and it just blew me away going to the Odd. I remember seeing the Globetrotters there. I think that was about it, other than hockey games and that. But yeah, I loved seeing Kiss there. That was pretty cool.
Love it.
Yeah.
Good. All right, Paul. Good to hear from you.
Everybody, you too. Talk to you later.
Thanks, pal. It's a great memory. And Brian Allison, our good friend and musicologist, shared that he never got to that concert back in 1976, and so never did get to see Kiss because he was 6 years old, and his mom said, "There's no way you're going to see that band because, you know, Kiss. Knights in Satan's Service, wasn't that the rumored acronym for their name? Here's, speaking of those memories, we were sharing them on the Flipside this morning at 11:30. That's something we do every Thursday to kind of break up the monotony and give us a break from the heavy stuff. And we were sharing memories because the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium turned 75 this year. May the 24th was its 75th birthday. On our Facebook page, Dan shares this, and I love it because I've heard this story before. For many years, my friend Bruce Cameron was the organist for Ranger games. One night, the refs were not of the best quality and making many infuriating calls and non-calls. Bruce started playing Three Blind Mice. This infuriated the refs, and they stopped the game until Bruce stopped playing and left the auditorium. Bruce agreed to leave on the condition that it was announced that he had a game misconduct. There you go, a hockey-related memory from the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. I was fortunate enough as well. My dad worked with Bruce Cameron, and so sometimes when we were at the games, my dad would take us up to the organist's booth so we could visit with Mr. Cameron during the intermissions. And let me tell you how cool I felt when I got to go into the organist's booth up there in the corner at the Kitchener Memorial Auditorium. I was the coolest kid in Kitchener on those nights. I promise you that. But that Three Blind Mice story is a beauty. Back to the phones on Talkback. Grant, you're next. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I got an update from the North Dumfries. About that Clyde Road incident.
What's the update?
That they're making up signs for those bumps, and then next week they're putting those, whatever they are doing.
Yeah, listen, Grant. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I don't want. I appreciate you looking at this positively, but I don't want you to let North Dumfries Council off the hook here. Yes, they're going to put in some temporary, but they've only got like 3 of these temporary strip speed bumps they can put down. This goofy council, I'm sorry to be so blunt, but they're going to do some road safety analysis when the entire village of Clyde has documented evidence of how unsafe these roads are. People have died on this road, and council still thinks they need to do a road safety analysis. Give me a damn break. Fix it now. People have already told you, you don't need another consultant to do an analysis. I'm sorry. I strongly disagree, Grant. Don't be so nice to them.
And the 401 should stay the way it is because it's not a racetrack. If people want to go to NASCAR, race on that racetrack, I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of fatalities. Oh, let's raise it to 150. And it doesn't matter if there's not a whole lot of traffic. This isn't meant to be raced on at all.
Okay, Grant, listen, I'm going to disagree with you on both. You're right. It's not meant to be raced on. I understand that. And don't get stuck in the thinking of we're talking about the 401 between Toronto and Waterloo Region, unless it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And as a guy that used to leave for work at 3:15 in the morning, I can tell you it's not even a picnic at that time. Although I can also tell you that there were times I would take my motorcycle and see how fast I could make it to my job in Toronto. But that's statute of limitations, officer, statute of limitations. Anyway, I don't think grazing it to 110 is going near far enough in the wider open areas. But I've documented that. I just disagree with you on this one, Grant. And so we'll disagree twice today, and that's okay. I'll go next to Greg on Talkback, Farwell's Force member number 38. It was good to see you yesterday afternoon, Greg. Thanks for coming to our Farwell for Hire event.
Yeah, I just wish I could have got there earlier so that I could have had seconds before they closed her down because, you know, the way me and Calories get along. So I had planned to support even more, but, I tried. But that's not what I'm calling. You're talking about the auditorium and stuff?
Memories of the odd.
I guess, back in 76, I didn't even really know of KISS yet. I would have been 11, so I probably would have liked it if I knew about it. But then later on, eventually, Toronto and Streetheart played there. You remember that one?
I don't remember. I remember both bands, but I don't remember the concert, okay. No.
Yeah, they had a double bill there. And then, we're talking maybe early to mid-90s. Cinderella and Slaughter, double hair band. Wasn't going to miss that one.
Attaboy.
So those are my two. That's the only two I can remember there other than the Ranger games. So, because, again, living in Waterloo, I never played in any rink there. Everything is in Waterloo. But, so those two concerts, they worked for me, and I'm sure the price was right, too, there, versus what it is now.
Absolutely. We used to get good prices for concerts, or at least it felt that way. We saw Bryan Adams just a few years ago. Thoroughly enjoyed that one. One of my favorites, though, will always be Elton John when he did that smaller town Ontario tour, because his husband, David Furnish, lived just outside of Guelph in Wellington County, and so he did some smaller venues. And we had a kind of lottery draw at work, and I was one of the lucky winners and got to go see Elton John for free, 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 which you know is my favorite F word. And we got to sit in the Rogers 570 News Radio box there. It was a great night, great way to see the concert. And Elton John, come on. George is next. Double O George from Cambridge, Farwell's Force member number. Hello, George.
Very good. Thank you, Mike. Hello to you. I just want to let you know that Grant could not be more wrong. I mean, Grant thinks we're going to go out there, race. You and I are going to get together. You're going to have your Mustang. I'm going to have my Mopar. And we're going to open up, down the 401 from London to Windsor at 150, 160 kilometers. That's not the thing. I don't know why Grant's thinking that. Open up the roads. Another one, Mike, I don't know if you mentioned yet, it's London to Sarnia. That is wide open, not very much used. That also could be a 130, no problem.
George, thanks for that. Yeah, and I think beyond, and the 402 they've opened up, right, to 110 already, so maybe they can make it more. But I think, like, all the way into Tecumseh, you're hardly seeing traffic on the 401 West. It's your Talkback Hour, the chance we give you every day to have your say. Take advantage of the access to our platform and tell us what you think about the issues of the day. It's the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. It is my favorite kind of Talkback Hour when you've got lots to say. Right back to the phones. Phil in Stratford, Farwell's Force, member number 81. Afternoon, Philip.
Good afternoon, Mike. This is in regards to the Kitchener Auditorium. I know you're there after Ranger games, after hours, you and Pricey. And I'm going to tell you a story what happened in that building in the mid-'70s. As you know, ammonia is used to refrigerate ice for the arena. And in the mid-'70s, there was an ammonia leak in the ammonia room, and the stationary engineer employee was overcome by it and died. So the rumor or the thinking is the place is haunted still.
Come on, Phil, you're making this up.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. So
how have I never heard this story before?
Bump in the night, when you hear things going bump in the night, when you're in that building in the dark leaving, remember the ghost story.
I thought that was just Dwight Foster, Brian Bellows, all those guys. No?
No, it wasn't. No, it's not flatulence. It's the ghost.
Are you, Phil, don't pull my leg. Don't be like this. Nobody.
True story.
Somebody really died there.
Yep.
I'll be darned. Okay, I'm going to be even more careful walking out of that building. Thanks for nothing, pal.
Okay.
Enjoy the rest of your day. That's what Phil likes to do to me. Just drop a little bombshell, so I'm afraid of the dark again, even more. Mark, you're next on Talkback. Hello.
Hi, Mike. I heard Brian Allison called in earlier.
Yep.
And he missed the KISS concert?
In 1976.
Well, I want to make him jealous, Mike. I was there.
Of course you were. You're the second person to make Brian jealous today.
Oh, okay. And also I seen Alice Cooper there.
Of course you did. Alice Cooper. You would never miss an Alice Cooper show.
It was excellent.
Love to hear it. Thanks for sharing, Mark.
Okay, Mike.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Great to hear from you. Jeremy is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Jeremy.
Good afternoon, Mike. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, thanks. How are you?
Good. I got a couple points for you. One, I'd love to be a Farwell's Force member. I'm wondering if 444 is available.
444, I'm afraid, has already been taken by Christine in Elora. Any other number that might interest you?
Whatever the next one on the list is.
The next one on the list will be 397.
Perfect.
Okay, that is you.
I've got a quick auditorium story for you.
Want to hear it.
In the 80s.
Yeah.
And maybe that gentleman or person that died from the ammonia leak was Cupid, not a bad ghost. But I met my wife back there in the 80s, and we just celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary. So it's also a place of romance.
Oh, man, do I ever like to hear that. Now, did you meet, were you both working there? Were you at a show? What happened? Hockey game?
We were at a hockey game. A group of guys I went with and a group of girls she was with. We all met and we became friends. And then eventually we got together. And, history has been made.
Absolutely love to hear it. Thanks for sharing the story and welcome to Farwell's Force.
Hey, great show, Mike.
Thanks, Jeremy. Really appreciate that. Our list sequentially is now up to 397 because Jeremy had asked for 444. I've got a bunch of what I call rando Farwell's Force members, and there are lots of them. But in sequence, from 00 George up to now Jeremy, 397. You add in all the randos, we're well over 400 members of Farwell's Force. A force for good, a force for change, a force to be reckoned with in this community. If you listen for 15 minutes a day, you are welcome to be a member in good standing, whether or not you even phone in. If you do, we love it. But if you're just a listener for 15 minutes a day and you want to join this growing force, send me an email, mike@570news.com. Pat is next on Talkback. Good afternoon, Pat.
Good afternoon, Mike. Now, I'm sorry to be a bit of a downer after the happy calls just now, but
that's okay.
This speeding business out on Clyde Road, that's been going on for a long time. there was a game that a lot of the kids used to play, because just east of Village Road, there is a bump in the road. Okay, it was built into it. It's almost like a ramp, and a lot of kids used to hit that going at an excessive speed and try to get some air. Okay, well, my son was the passenger in a vehicle that tried to do that at 80 miles an hour. This happens to be the 25th anniversary. The driver was killed. My son probably should have been, but he survived, and he's doing fairly well nowadays. He's working in a very physical job, making a good living. But they left the road, hit a tree at 80 miles an hour, sheared it off about 7 feet high. Now, I don't know what kind of traffic calming is possible on a perfectly flat, otherwise road, a long straight stretch going through town. Something has to be done to get them to slow down. Maybe a public education thing in high schools about how stupid and arrogant these people are who drive like that. Because really, it's a very selfish thing to be driving like that through a populated area. And granted, it's not like driving down a school route through town, but it's a very, very bad thing. That happens, in a case like that. Every one of the ones that I've heard so far over the last few weeks, the drivers have been going too fast. And, I'm guilty as anybody out on the 400 series of highways. I go with the flow. And if the flow is going 130, that's what I'm doing, because I don't want to get in anybody's way. But, man, when you're driving 80 miles an hour in a country road, and just to hear people who were in their houses hear the roar of the engine as it flew by, that automatically they say something bad's going to happen.
Pat, listen, I'm running right out of time here, but I'm glad to hear your son is doing better, and thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, like 25 years for him, and I don't know how many before.
Bless your heart. Thanks again for calling today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
Good to hear from you. Bye-bye. I just want to reiterate again that 25 years this has happened. I'm so glad Pat's son is okay, but this is my point. North Dumfries Council says we're going to get a third-party consultant to conduct an analysis. It's been conducted, North Dumfries. Pat and many others in the village of Clyde have told you how dangerous this road is and how many people speed. Just put some speed bumps or some kind of traffic calming on there. It's not rocket science. Paralysis by analysis is what's going on here. And if somebody else dies, it's on your hands. I got to run. It's the end of the show today, but Friday's show just around the corner. All request your not $1 million question, the Friday 4 panel, and more. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 9. You're invited to join me. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.